Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My mic was off. Welcome back to the Shadow and Sun Show, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another Saturday night sci-fi paint and stream. It looks like we've got Omen in the green room. Howdy, Omen. What's happening?
Hey, how you holding up?
Oh, chilling like a villain, man. Just doing some painting. Got a bunch of shit done this week. British Steel, yes. One of my favorite Judas Priest albums. Not just because of Breaking the Law and the number of times we performed that, but because of other songs. Metal Gods, one of my favorites. Steven, you know where the link is if you want to come join us. What you been up to, Omen?
Not too much. We were playing Among Us with my son, and then we've had a lot of rain. It looks like we finally hit the point where the ground is saturated, so we actually get runoff now. Whereas before, we've been in a drought for such a long time. So, yep.
Cool. James L wants the link, so I'm gonna send
Yeah,
that
no, he
to.
can't go into you. I mean, he's even a member of Discord. He can't go in there and get it. That's
He's got problems with his tablet, I guess,
no.
or whatever device it
Gotta
is
give
he
him hell.
uses. Yeah, I know. He's a great guy. Okay, come on, Discord. What are you waiting for?
I will say this
Jeez
much: everyone talks
Louise.
about Judas Priest, but between the two, definitely Alice Cooper is the better showman.
Well, hold on a second. Before I refute that with extreme prejudice. Oh, wrong
No.
one.
I went to the concert where they had Alice Cooper and Judas Priest playing at the same
I know,
concert.
I know, I know,
Between
I
the
know.
two, it's definitely Judas
I know.
Priest. Yeah, is
Well, who was singing?
oh I don't whoever the
Was it Rob
current
Halford or was it somebody else?
whoever the current singer is. Well, I mean, they actually brought out a motorcycle and everything else, but Alice Cooper just knows how to do
Yeah,
production
that's
values
gay.
more. Alice Cooper's just the better showman. I mean, he always has been.
Well, maybe, but Rob Halford is a better singer.
When we're not arguing that, I'm saying the better showman. If you want to go to a concert
Mhm.
see the showman, then do that. If you just want to listen to music, then you
And
can pick what
and
you like better from there.
and I don't know who the new singer is for Judas Priest. I know it's not Rob Halford. And they stopped being Judas Priest without him. This is my opinions, of course.
I'm not that biased. I'm like, look, if you're still there, if you still have a lot of the same
I know,
members.
right? What's up, George? Living After Midnight, Metal Gods. Yes, Living After Midnight was a great one. You know what's funny though? You're not going to believe this. You guys remember the song "United" by Judas Priest?
I've listened to some
Okay,
of stuff. I can't remember
United,
it.
United, United, we stand. United, we ever shall fall, or something like that. You might not remember it from what's up, James, from Judas Priest singing it, but you might remember Menudo singing it.
I don't remember that. Probably because I didn't listen to Menudo. But I will say this much: my favorite of actually
Right?
Judas Priest is
Because you're a
Nightcrawler,
straight white guy,
which
yeah,
is which is
right.
a later song that they did in like 1990. Um,
Unleashed is a good one, but I'm not a big live album fan, and I don't know why my camera is like a full minute behind, but I'm gonna have to not look and just paint. James, how the hell are you, my brother?
Yeah, good man. I'm painting some Hero Quest dudes. Um,
Nice, 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 nice. I would show you what I'm painting, but it's mostly just streets
mhm.
and sidewalks and other terrain. I am pretty proud of these little lampposts. I'm not done with them. Come on, come on. Oh, this is so freaking rough.
Nice. Good,
I
good.
still have some work to do, but you okay? Primer black, dry brush white, gray speed paint here, gold line here, rough iron here, shining gold here, uh, dry not dry brush, a base coat of something metallic here, then a blue metallic there. Then I got to go in with the fine point to do the little holes in between the brass glass, frames. Then I got to do inside the glass frames with some sort of yellow or orange to make them look lit up. For something so tiny that's not a miniature of a person, these little things are going to have about, I kid you not, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, about 12 steps, 12 different steps in paint, etc., to get them to the point I want them at. And even then, I know other people could have done it better.
You do it. You just need an assembly line. Here you go. Chunk, chunk, chunk.
That's what I'm doing. I got 20 of them in total that came with this really cool set. Here, I'll pull this out, make it easier to show you. Uh, I never thought I would need this, so I didn't buy it when it came out. And I kid you not, the last 4 games, 3 or 4 games of Jackie's D&D
Yep.
game, uh, we've needed. It's all been on a street in a city. There was a bank heist. There was a something else, and just one game they went to go get a pizza. I'm not even kidding. The whole game was like getting a pizza. It was, tongue in cheek, but it was, there was other stuff. But it started out with a pizza, and then a gunfight in the streets, and the cops came. It's not really technically D&D
Hey, wait,
either,
wait,
but
wait a minute. Isn't that
whatever.
in L.A. on a normal evening?
Right. And the funny thing is here. Remember the North Hollywood shooting, the big
Yeah,
one with the body
yeah.
armor? He was watching videos of that for a week, getting ready for that game.
So I'm going to bring this up. Is now you don't have to worry about child labor because your son is now old enough that you can tell him, hey, look, you and your friends are going to do this, and we're going to do an assembly line. You do this, and you just like pushing through.
I am very actually tempted to, because he's got uh, a mixed group of boys and girls who really dig the whole setup, and there's at least 2 of them, maybe 4, that I could recruit to paint, or at least give some painting lessons.
Well,
But
that's how you frame it. You go, it's free education. Now get to work.
This is an
right, but at
apprenticeship.
the same
Don't you know that you're supposed to work in terrible conditions and I just feed you, mildly nutritious food until you, a certain age?
pizza crust, and Doritos. I'm not doing any of that. Just because I'm not getting in the way in any way, shape, or form of him potentially, taking after his old man, and you know, with the girls and the ladies and that sort of thing, cramping his style. Because I know, I mean, you can tell when like when a girl likes one of your bros, right? You can tell, right?
I know.
Oh,
Well, yeah, but the kid normally can't. That's the
that's
problem.
the time to
Yeah,
bust out
he's
all of his baby photos. Surely, like that's time to
there's
go.
plenty on the walls to embarrass him. There are plenty of images. I'm going to send you guys a couple of pictures that are on the wall, just images of what an absolute just heartbreaker he was as a little boy. He was just so freaking cute. Uh,
Yeah, they're all cute until they open their mouths.
you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Yeah.
But they're you can't miss them when you walk in. So they've all seen it. And there's this one girl. I know he's not interested in her because she's kind of heavy set, but she's cute. She could definitely, do that summer thing and just totally transform. And he'd be like, "Oh my god!"
You know, you,
And I could just tell she's.
you know what? If she likes him, he can get her to exercise. It's like, hey, let's go over here and let's go walking, let's go camping, let's go do this. Yeah,
Yeah,
she'll
no,
start
no,
shedding
no.
some pounds.
It's not going to happen. It's not going
I
to happen.
know. I don't see my son is
He's
similar, except he, the girl could lose a little weight, but
and I'm not going to say which one it
it
is,
doesn't matter. It doesn't matter
but
because we don't know
well,
who they
no,
are.
because
It's not like you introduce them and say,
well, no, because they may actually be watching from time to time. Just saying, which is really funny because he does not want anybody to know that he's got a channel or that he was on this channel at all. It's just like no, 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 just completely, just like I'm like, dude, what?
That's pretty relatable.
So what?
That's pretty relatable.
I
Everybody
know,
used to
but
say to me, "Oh, you make
you know
music."
what?
I'm
What you
like,
need to
"Yeah." They're
do
like,
is you need to put him on a
"Thank you."
plane, send him to James L. James L. will, get him up to mastery, and then you can send him back, and then you'll have for the whole thing, and then he can go after Australian girls and then come back.
Well, yeah, I mean, a lot of people I know don't have nice things to say
Oh, I
about
think he's home.
Australian girls, but I think they're
He went
pretty
out to the
good.
movies.
I'm sorry, what's the James L. Chef Captain?
I know a lot of people who don't have nice things to say about Australian girls, but I actually think they're pretty good. Like, honestly, they're not too bad. Maybe a little bit wild.
That's what I said. You just need
Nothing
to
wrong.
ship him off for a little bit, as the apprenticeship. This will be like Batman, but with paintbrushes. He has to go to each of the masters to learn his.
Well, the thing is, like, I've got to be honest with you, Omen. Like, I'm pretty average as painters go. Like, honestly, I make a lot of mud pies. Very occasionally, one will turn out really well, but I do make a lot of mud pies.
That's okay. He can exceed the master. There you go.
Yeah.
then you can return him back, and he can go, wow, Australia was so different from the United States.
Oh, no, maybe not even in some ways. In some ways, not even. When I stepped off the plane, it was just like walking out of the house. Everywhere's the same. Stay home. Don't bother.
I mean, come on. He needs those drop bears and the giant spiders and the poisonous giant octopi. He just needs to learn like what real danger is. That doesn't involve
I don't know
guns.
if we can really trade on the wildlife thing anymore. Even like, if aliens land, like, it's kind of boring then, isn't it? Just looking at a kangaroo. Like,
I you say that, but I'm actually of the opinion that at least one species of Earth animal is actually aliens in disguise.
Platypi?
yeah, but it's not
Look, George.
nice. It's not nice to talk about the Belgians like that. Like,
I'm not even touching that with what's in the news. But
they,
yeah,
they
okay,
did give
we
us
can do that.
chocolate. They did give us chocolate. Just don't ask where they got the cocoa or how.
If you're going to bring up the chocolate, you got to bring up the waffles because those are the superior waffles. Oh my God, the difference between a Belgian waffle and anything else is just incomparable. And if you even start mentioning or even trying to pronounce Eggo, I'm going to slap that shit right out of your mouth because those things are ass. Eggo waffles are garbage.
Eggo waffles are just the kind of thing that we put a sad cake into a waffle shape. That's all Eggo waffles.
Yeah,
they're made out of cardboard.
That sounds like stoner food, but like stoner food where you're also cat burglarizing someone else's house and you need to stop and make a snack halfway.
when a rice cake can give you a run for your money,
yeah, that's not good.
You're doing something wrong, man. And they even have like Eggos that look like Belgian waffles. Don't fall for the propaganda though. They're just the same thing, different shape, and thicker, so you get more of that cardboard and cellulose goodness.
So they're
Yikes!
I thought it was funny because I remember going into the frozen food aisle and they had real Belgian style waffles versus the regular Eggo waffles, and they're like twice as expensive anyway as to get the quality ones.
Well, not only that, but like St. Pierre's, the company I buy like pre-made Belgian waffles, because you can't make them in a waffle iron in this country. I don't know what the secret is, but you can't do it. I've tried. They're like, okay, how waffles have little squares in them, right?
These giant squares.
These have four squares and then a jagged edge.
Yep.
That's it. They're like this. I mean,
I know.
Is that they're like the size of an Oreo, but that's all you need.
Well,
it's all you need.
To me, I'm just like, yes, but they are deep. I mean, you can put a bunch of stuff in there and never see anything come out of the waffle. It's not like our waffles where you're like, oh, if I put a slight little bit of honey, it now sticks out from the depressions. Mm-hmm. Anyway, we're not disagreeing with you.
You could use a quarter of a bottle of syrup on a Belgian waffle and not even notice.
By the way,
I just
found another hobby thing on Temu, or rather redid, and she bought me a couple of these. They were like $6 each. These cases
Oh,
are perfect for like
Li-
figures,
yeah.
dice. This, if I take the first layer of foam off with my clunky hands, the foam
I
is
don't have
actually
any in here.
pre-cut. I don't know if you can really see it in this light.
Okay, so it's like pluck and pull.
Yeah,
So
there's
it's
like
pluck and pull foam.
little. I mean, I could probably just pull a square out, really. And
Yep. Yep.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
a little.
That's the brand. That's like the brand name of uh, foam, where like in gun cases and toolboxes,
Yeah,
it's cut so that you could just pull out in any shape, which is really neat.
yeah. And
Um,
so I think
you have to send me the link to that.
I could fit like a Mordheim gang in these for sure. Like each.
Because the ones I was buying from dollar store, they had no foam in them, but they're like little mini tackle boxes,
Mhm.
like $2.99. They were great. I've got 28 of them, and I want like 28 more, but I can't find them except one place, and they're, I kid you not, $18 now.
Mhm.
I was like, plus shipping, and I need something to store thousands more miniatures uh, in, and I like I was using those cardboard boxes, and those are really good for the bigger minis. But there's, they'll keep them from moving around. You can throw in some bubble wrap or foam or whatever you got laying around. The big trading card boxes with like that, like they hold thousands of cards with like 2, 3, 4, 5 row. I've got a bunch of those. Those work great for the bigger, like giants and things like that. And I bought some just for that, and they're super cheap, kind of. You can, depending on where you go. Uh, I used to get them for, I kid you not, for like $1.50 a piece from this one place, because they bought them in bulk and would just sell them like that. Now they're about $7, $8 each,
Mhm.
because they're saying free shipping, but the shipping's calculated into the price.
Sure.
So I get like 5 for $30.
Mhm.
It's not bad, but they're cardboard. They do stack well and all that, but I'm not gonna buy like the 50 that I would need
Yeah,
for
yeah.
all the miniatures that I've got to do
Yeah, I
something
just see
with.
it as more like if I go to my friend's house to play like a game and I want to take like
Yeah,
20,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
20
I've got
figures
I've
or
got a
15
crap ton of
figures.
those kinds of things. And remind me, I've got. Let me see if I can. Let me see if I can find. I have a picture of that storage container that fits inside the Hero Quest box.
Oh,
It's a
that's great.
plastic container,
Yeah, I'm kind of curious about that.
but it also actually holds all of the Hero Quest pieces inside it.
Mm.
And when you put it in the Hero Quest box, it's a little taller. So when you put the lid on, you're going to have about this much gap at the bottom where it doesn't go all the way down. But I
That's not
love it.
necessarily.
Um,
That's not necessarily.
yeah, that doesn't have any effect on the overall thing. And the best I might be able to do is give you the SKU number. I'll see if I can uh,
Yeah, I'm
forward this
curious to
somehow
look
because
at
it's on
it.
my phone.
I mean, the
Oh,
thing is
that's my ballot.
with board game minis, like I'm learning to paint them a little bit differently. Like, I find that the speed paint kind of lifts the previous layer off the soft plastic sometimes. So I'm just painting them like with
Uh
flat
huh.
acrylics. And
Hmm.
I think it's because of the pull of the flow improver. It's probably got a bit of surface tension where it's like dragging the layer away as it dries. You know what I
Oh
mean?
my god.
But the other thing is like I'm just gonna block paint them, wash them, and then like chuck a clear coat on them. They'll go back in the box, like for sure. Like I'm not being
Yeah,
facetious.
I found with the Hero Quest minis that I don't know what I here it is. Okay. Um, it actually the paint rubs off
Yeah,
really well
for
once they're
sure. Even
dry.
when you've
If
given
you're
them a
not
good
careful.
scrub, like these, I used artist gesso instead of normal primer, just because it's cheap and it seems to have stuck a little bit better. But um, yeah, there's still an element of that like I don't know whether I need to maybe even like I'm a bit afraid to use a rattle can on them. Like I don't know if the solvent might, like
I did okay. I primered them and it wasn't bad. Um, I just used, like, oh god, I can't remember. It's a paint and primer. It says it's good for plastic.
yeah,
Um, it seemed okay,
yeah.
but uh, two. Okay, this is
But I mean, these are kind of duplicate models for Hero Quest that I bought anyway, just to kind of practice. I'm trying to get my painting up to an acceptable standard.
You know what? If you go into play, if they're close enough, they're usually all right. Which reminds me, I need to go to my post office box because I got the more Dune miniatures for the board game that came in. Uh,
nice.
yeah, for the expansion.
I need to get a post office box. Um, but I know I'll just
I thought you had one.
use it like three times a year.
I thought you had one
No, no.
because I remember sending you something. I thought I sent you something. Anyway, no. Well.
Oh no, you've never sent me a damn thing,
Oh yeah.
bastard.
I'm sorry.
All these years, no, it's okay. I'm just
No, I
teasing you.
thought because
Um,
no, you sent me something and the return address was a post office box. That's why.
nope. You have my real actual email, or
Actually, I do
well, my
not. You never
email
gave it
address.
to me. Anyway,
You have my mailing address if you save the thing.
yeah, that didn't
If not,
2 years ago. No, that wasn't.
yeah,
But the but yeah, but I think also when you're talking some about the board game minis, they're a softer plastic, so that allows it to flex and move, and that also helps it
Yep.
break
Yeah.
apart the paint as well.
Yeah, well, that's why I recommend like uh, clear coat or army painted dip or anything that's going to toughen that up and still let it stay a little bit flexible. Is
Yeah.
good.
okay. Let's see if I can send this to you, James. I had to email the picture to myself.
Uh-huh.
It,
Is this the
it's meant to hold 12 by 12 paper, bulk craft storage, blah blah blah.
Let's have a look, shall we? Got multiple machines going here.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. This okay. Let's see here. Because when I'm looking at the picture, it says it holds. Okay, this is okay. I downloaded it there. So let's see if I can go over here. It didn't save it the way I wanted to, but I know it's the box. Oh, there it is. Sweet. All right, you have the image.
Thank you. Let's have a look. That's
I'm
good.
pretty sure that's it. If it's not it, then I don't know why I took this picture.
Well, long gone are the days of like people developing film and then the last three shots are just people's feet.
right.
You know?
And best thing about Hero Quest is the broadsword. Rooster says, "You guys ever see the video? The best thing about Hero Quest by this Aussie called the Bard." No, I have not.
No.
Can't say I have. But I am basically, I mean, I know it's kind of kid stuff, but for me, that's like, that's like my main dungeon crawler. you know, everyone likes playing Hero Quest around here, so yeah. But
Well, to be honest, I was playing that game in my late 20s, early 30s
yeah,
because we'd rediscovered it, and we spent like entire afternoons playing the shit out of that game.
yeah.
My
when you just want something simple, you know, it works. It does
It's a
everything
good
you
party
can want it
game.
to do.
It's a good party
it's
game.
It,
You open a bottle of
kind of, yeah.
wine or a couple of bottles of beer or something, and
it's
get out the pretzels, and
it's like
it's great.
Space Hulk. It's something you put down on the board. It's fairly quick, and you don't have to do a lot of bookkeeping or anything, and you just play it, and that helps a lot. I think part of the issue with some of the games now is they're so big, it takes almost as long to set up as it does to play.
Yeah,
Oh
I
my
mean,
God. Tell
board
me about it.
games, board games
Shadows of
now.
Brimstone. Shadows of Brimstone can take me 2 hours to set up and then another hour to put it away, which is faster. Uh, for like an hour and a half game with me and Jackie back in the day, we'd start at like 8 o'clock. I'd start setting up. Next thing I know, it's like 9:30. So Mom was like, "Aren't you guys going to bed yet?" And I'm like, "No, we're just getting started. It's Friday night." And then we'd get done playing. It's like midnight. It's like, Dad, can I go to bed? I'm tired. Yeah, 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 no
so
problem.
my son,
Sport.
when I was doing if you look at the War for Arrakis board, it's huge, and so we do like the whole dining room table, and it probably takes me about 30 minutes to set up. So my son's doing other stuff when I set it up, and it takes about half an
Hmm.
hour to put away. Maybe it's like, well,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
and don't get me wrong, it's gorgeous once you play it, and it's a fairly quote for a big game like it is. It only takes about 2.5 hours. So it's actually
Mhm.
pretty good for that. So it was like, well, okay, after dinner we'll play a game, and after that's done, we'd still get done. We didn't feel like we lost the whole night, but but some of the games, like the Conan one, isn't too bad. Um, but I know my Star Wars Rebellion and the Nemesis game, boy, those take a long time to set up and trying to get all of the pieces into a certain location, um, and my friend
Yeah.
even has a dedicated um, table for playing board games. Where you
Mhm.
can put the leaves on top to use it as a regular table,
Hmm.
which is
Yeah.
great because
Was there, I almost bought one of those tables where it's sunk down in with like red velvet,
that's
big
that's it.
freaking.
That's the one probably the same one he
Yeah,
got.
they're about 2 grand. I was gonna get one for the kitchen dining table, and I would just play. But at the time, Jackie was like 5, and Grandma and he were both spilling food equally.
So
Even with the plastic cover, I was like, I am not investing in a $2,000 table until they're older. And he got better, but Grandma did not.
so I
Yeah,
mean,
I'd
for my
probably.
friends, we do it when we have the leaves, but you know the nice thing about it is we will stop the game in the middle because Nemesis takes us about 4 to 6 hours to play whenever we have the full complement of players. Um,
Is that the alien kind of
Knockoff.
like takeover?
Yeah,
It's got a bit of a space
it's
hockey vibe actually.
it, it
But
does, and everyone
yeah.
laughs because the very first game we played, you get two objectives. You have to do objective A or objective B, and you get to pick which one you get to do. And one of them
Yeah.
was, I think for my son, he either had to kill me or he had to do something else. So in the first
Mhm.
round of the game, somehow we got the alien queen to come out first. My character was trapped in there. I'm like, I'm going to die. And he's like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
And he throws a grenade in the room, which affects everyone, including me and the alien queen. I'm like, you,
Yeah.
you little bastard. And he, everyone looked at him like, if he's going to do this to his father, what's he going to do to us?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, the funny thing is,
Yeah.
I
I hear
actually
it's
survived, and we
I
won the
hear that
game.
Nemesis has got all the kind of tension of the old Space Hulk.
Oh, it it
But
it, it
there's a lot to it. I know that it's maybe a bit sophisticated. Like I've noticed that board games have definitely leapt in quality in the last sort of 10 to 15 years. But there's a bit of a complexity trade-off that I'm not always willing to engage in. I still haven't cracked this, which is like
War of the
ages
Ring.
of setup
So
time, ages and ages of setup time. So
so
like I'll get to it one day, but maybe when I'm feeling a bit smarter.
so for my general feeling, and I've heard War of the Ring and Dune War for Arrakis are fairly similar, except War for Arrakis they said plays a lot faster. we've had a lot of
Mhm.
fun with that one. And he's beaten me on playing both sides. He's like, well, you won one game. That's because you kind of got tired and said, go ahead and win, Dad. Uh,
Yeah.
uh,
Oh, thanks.
yeah,
A mercy win.
it,
Is that the same game that was made by like SPI but remade,
it's
or
made by
No,
Simon.
they did redo it
It's
like
Simon.
as a
It's
kind
the
of road
Simon game. It's
thing,
not
and
the
then they revised it. And the
no.
Steamon
This
one was much more of a war game, really an area control game, that without some of the craziness of the old SPI.
so
Because the SPI
Simon.
games
Wait,
were
wait a
okay?
so
minute. Wait a minute.
complex.
Simon is more like War for the Ring. The old one that you're talking about, I think, was like the old SSI. And anyone that's ever played the SSI games, I don't want to hear anything when you talk about complexity because I don't have to read an 80-page rule book to try to understand on how to play the
Yeah. Was it SSI? It wasn't a. It was a miniature, not a miniature. It was a counter chit game.
Gale Force 9
Uh,
is the one that has it now. And that was the one from the
okay.
70s, if I remember correctly, that you're referring to.
Yeah, that's the one I'm talking
So,
about.
so
So
I had it.
the most complex board game mechanic I can think of is in the campaign for North Africa, where if you play the Italians, you have to calculate water evaporation for your pasta in the desert when tracking your supplies, which was a bit of a miscalculation the Italians made. They're like, oh, we'll just eat pasta in the desert. It's like, it takes a lot of water, man.
it's, I mean, when we talk about the old Avalon Hill games, those were dense, heavy books.
Yeah.
And nowadays, I've noticed even for more complex games, while the quality has gone way up as far as both the miniatures, the board games, the cards, and everything else, the rules have been simplified in many cases. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
the even the more complex games. Don't get me wrong. I've generally found it takes about 4 to 5 playthroughs to actually understand a board game. Um,
Sometimes, yeah. I
I could
mean,
see that. Stephen Kennedy says Frostgrave or Stargrave. Anyone?
yeah, but
yeah,
those aren't board games.
definitely.
Those are miniature games.
Definitely Frostgrave in my future. I mean, my brother is kind of more keen to play Mornheim, I think, because of the setting, but I'm hoping to maybe introduce him to
So,
Frostgrave eventually.
so I will say as much about for Stephen Kennedy there that he doesn't like what you have to reach down into. You say that until you start finding that pieces tend to fly off, rather than when you put them in the recessed part of it that they don't. And then the other
Mhm.
part is you don't have to interrupt your game when you want to have a meal. You just put all the leaves on
Mhm.
top of it, and you can go through.
I'm telling you, if I either two things are going to happen. I'm going to get stuck here in California till my dying days, or I'm going to end up in Texas with a game store. If I open up a game store in Texas, I'm going to have a center freaking table because I'm basically going to be living in the store anyways, and I'm going to get one of those tables, and I will be eating my meals there and doing all that stuff, and I will look forward. Are absolutely freaking gorgeous, expensive. Um, but all of the idea that you can just put the leaves down and everything will stay if provided it's
Yeah,
not too tall, the dice,
it's about 3 inches deep. Um,
okay.
it's we
She
didn't have
said,
too many. I mean, I haven't had too many problems because what a lot of people do is for the drinks. Now we're talking about the wormwood ones because that's the one that my friend has.
I think
The
that's it too, yeah. But they
yeah
also
the
have those like cup holders on the side and those little
yep
trays and just
yep
all kinds of crazy attachments, as well as like different like plates you can put for decoration on the like legs where there's like a big sort of a
yes.
panel, the
Well,
corners, and all kinds of just gorgeous.
so my friend did the basic version, but he got
Hmm.
the cup holders, and those work out really well. We found that at that point
Hmm.
you don't have to worry about spilling or anything else because you're putting them on the outside, and so when you pick them up, you're not putting them on the edge or the lip, and then you're also
Right.
not putting them inside. So it makes a big difference. They are. I'm not saying they're perfect for everything, but usually, as long as you
Hmm.
wipe off the leaves and you're careful, you don't unless you like spill milk you can wipe the stuff off before it gets
There will
down
be
to where
no
it's
milk
spilled.
allowed in the freaking building if I had that table. No
Well,
milk,
well,
soup. You know what I mean? There'll be a special table for drinking coffee. I
I
still have like the flyer for those tables like on my garage refrigerator, so that every time I go in there, I'm like, one of these days, baby, you and me, we're gonna have a meal together. You know,
So my
think
only
that
real complaint with it is I kind of wish, because the very tops is they don't quite go as flush as I would like. They're kind
mm,
of indented down a little bit, which I
mm.
understand why they did it, but it's not quite as smooth as what I would like on for the table. But that's going to sometimes happen with wood, no matter what you do. Um,
You like sawhorses with 4x6. Uh, my fondest memories are actually of converted ping pong tables. I was dating this girl a long time ago, and we went out because I think she had a truck. I forget. We went out and we bought a brand new ping pong table. She's like, I know you like ping pong. I was like, I don't. Why are you getting it? I'll show you when we get home. Set it up, threw the freaking net in the trash. She's like, well, you don't even want that? No, we're never going to play ping pong.
so,
What?
so, so Stephen Kennedy's missing the one part of that. Sounds nice, but when you actually have like a sit down meal with 8 people at a table, you kind of
And you
usually
get the
put
TV
like
tray for
dishes in the
eating.
middle. You put dishes in the middle. Don't get me
Mhm.
wrong. I used to love eating off the trays for food. That's what we used to do a lot of times when with my parents. We wouldn't sit at
Mhm.
the table. We'd sit around watching the news, eating off the
Right?
tray.
My parents actually got my brother and I special, like, I forget what cartoon. I think mine was Planet of the Apes or something, just so we could do that. They'd eat at the table because it was, too dangerous
Sure.
for them to not. They'd knock something over one move,
Yep.
wheel thing, it's all over the place. But we would sit at the couch with our TV trays and our TV dinners. You guys remember TV dinners in aluminum foil? You guys remember those?
I
Oh
don't.
I
man,
think
we
my
I
grandma,
remember seeing
my
them.
grandma would have died before feeding me something like that.
yeah.
So James, you're saying that you killed your grandmother? Anyway, yeah.
No, he ate better than I did. My parents
No,
could
no.
barely cook.
Well,
Let's be
I,
honest.
well, I have to laugh at the whole thing, which is, you know, I don't like the flat tables if they're too thin. Like I said, is having done it, I think that they work out really well, especially
It
because
was Stephen.
I've seen too much roll off on the edges of tables. And what's great is you roll dice; they don't go, they don't bounce outside the table. Everyone gets to see stuff. The only real issue is that the table he has is so big. Yeah, I think it's like 4x8 or something like that. You're still
Well, that
having
was
to
the
I
great
reco.
thing
honestly
about the
think,
ping pong table. It's actually bigger than 4x8. There was a border around the 4x8 area, so that we could literally,
Oh,
put our miniatures and our cards or whatever, and we played Epic Space Marines on it. Uh, 4 players, 2 players aside, each player 10,000 points, which is like
jeez,
3 times the
yeah,
size
those
of
are
a
big.
standard
yeah.
Epic game. Or we play Man of War or 40K or just all the great games of that era on it, and it was glorious. I When I moved from one place, I ended up having to put it in the carport in front of it'd be at the far end of where our space was, and then we pull the car in. And on Saturdays, my girlfriend would move her car out, park it in one of the other spaces. We'd have the ping pong table out there in the carport, all of us having a big old freaking game, and people
Nice.
walking by going, "What the hell are you doing?" Stop for like 10, 20 minutes and check it out.
Yeah.
And like, yes, this is what we do, man. So,
Well, do you know what my favorites, because I've seen the other tables, is probably hexagonal table. Would probably be one that
like a
I'd.
poker table.
Very similar, yeah, exactly. But I've seen it where they
I
have
had a
this.
friend, a girl who was a friend, not a girlfriend,
Yeah.
who had one of those, and we'd play D&D on it because we weren't really doing a lot of minis back then. But we, flip the little thing that for the poker chips, which would hold our dice. There's a built-in coaster for our drink, even a little kind of like quasi rolling tray. It was we had so much fun
I'm
because she
gonna I'm gonna like be a dissenting voice and say I think you should stop for refreshments and not have them at the gaming table. And I think if you're gonna spend $2,000 on a table, you should buy some like solid American hardwood, like modernist furniture that your children will thank you for
Mhm.
investing
So,
in.
well, I mean, to be fair for this, is if you're spending, people don't realize just how expensive dining room tables have become. And I
Mhm.
Sure.
For what's theirs, I'd rather have something that I could use for multiple purposes, which is, hey, guess what? If we're going to have a nice meal, great. I can put the leaves on top. We can throw a tablecloth
Plastic
on
cover.
there.
Yep.
You can have a full meal, and then when you're
hmm
done, you just take it all off. You pull it off, and then you don't.
I'm right
Yeah,
there. When the kids play, we take the table cover off because it's my wife's
sure, yep,
literally got like three table covers in layers to make this weird pattern. It's just like
yeah,
so I got to roll it all up, put it off to the side. The kids play. Jackie puts his table there. They eat. They get their snacks. Their we break
yeah.
for dinner, pizza, but nothing moves off the table because there's nowhere to put it. And they get nothing like that. These kids who come hang out with Jack and play at the table will never see anything like that until they're they own their own home. You know what I mean? There's nowhere they can go in this town to do that. There's nowhere they can get that experience uh, that we had. Like, and for us, pizza was dirt cheap and Doritos and all that stuff. It wasn't like expensive. Everything was you know I don't care what anybody says. It was cheaper back then to do all that stuff. Uh, Ping
Yes, but you're
pong.
not getting the versatility. I understand what he's trying to say.
Yeah,
You're not
yeah.
getting the versatility that we're referring to, and,
I paid
and
120 bucks for the ping pong table I got in the late '90s, mid '90s, and
but
now I don't know what they would cost. A 2000, mind you, I'm pretty sure you can make payments, or you can put it on a credit card
yeah,
and make payments that way. Uh, and if you get like one of them 6 month things where no interest, you just freaking pay that son of a bitch off in 6 payments or whatever. Uh,
my my
I
it's
just use
not.
like a I just use like a 5 foot round trestle table, and it's pretty good.
yeah.
5 foot round, it's nice.
Well, a lot of it is, again, when we're talking about these higher end tables, or the tables we're talking about something that you want to have both that's nice to have guests, and then you don't have to like remove all your games and boards off of. That's what we're talking about. If you want to do
Well,
one, if you want a
it's
dedicated
also
table, it's fine.
a it's something like that is one of like the like I mean
It's a
it's like
centerpiece.
well not just that but it's
Seems a
like
bit. It seems a bit tacky to me, if I'm being honest. But
No,
your
it's no more
mileage
tacky
may
than a
vary.
regular dining room table. That's my point.
it's one of those like items that it's like one of the last things you get when you're
Yep.
like a hardcore gamer where gaming is your main hobby thing,
Sure.
playing games with with a solid group of people where you're going to do like what uh yes they do, Stephen, they do fold, but they fold in a weird A shaped thing, so it's still going to take up some space. But this is like one of the last big things you'll get for your table, your game room, when you've got like solid gamers who live in your area. You got 5 or 6 or more gamers who are going to come. You've known each other for years. You're going to keep playing. You're going to have dinner. You're going to watch each other's families grow up. It's like buying a pool table.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna be.
I
It's a little bit different. It's like buying a regular dining room table, and like for my like my apartment, I don't have room for a dining room table. I just don't. If I put out a dining room table, I wouldn't have room for everything else. Um, you know, that's that's just the way that they have it. And if you look at
Mm.
when we're talking about American homes, they tend to have a living room and a dining room. Well, I always thought that was kind of a waste because why am I going to have a room that doesn't do both? And so I
I've
would
got
like.
two. I've
What's that?
got I've got a dining room and I've got two living rooms. One's with the
Really?
fireplace, which we call the family room, fireplace, FF, dining room, and next to the dining room is another living room, uh, and that's where the ladies hang out in one room and the guys hang out in the other room with the
I don't.
fireplace.
Stephen hasn't done this. He says, "Well, someone spills Coke on your game table. Then what you do is you get some paper towels and you wipe it up just like you would a regular table." Um, what people really talk about is the felt, and you don't have to. There's other stuff besides felt you can put in there. You can put like dry erase and other stuff that, again,
Mhm,
you can soak it up really quickly with,
mhm,
with with paper towels. It is laminated. It's not.
mhm.
It's like a regular table. That's
Yeah,
what I'm trying to go through.
admittedly, Stephen, it does seem like kind of
It's
a
a luxury product.
yeah, that's the word I was looking for.
But to be
Um,
fair, so is a dining room table for most people. I mean, if we
well,
really want to
these
talk about
days,
cheap, if you want to talk
unless
about
you've
cheap,
gotten one handed down or something.
yeah,
But yeah, we were pricing them the other day, and they're like $1,500 without the chairs.
and that's the low end. I
Hmm.
mean, we're talking the '90s. I remember going out and we were looking at
Hmm.
dining room tables for $10,000 for, and this was from North Carolina. So this is that's not including all the regular markup they have when they ship it out of North Carolina. So, and I was like,
Hmm.
holy hell! Anyway,
Yeah, yeah, but also for me, the fun
yeah,
part of the fun part with the tables we're talking about is you've got to assemble it, and I kind of dig on doing that kind of thing. Like
it, it
anything with the screwdriver and instructions, you sign me up. I'll be happy as a clam all day.
so my friend, when he got his table, they didn't tell him he got his table. They put it in front of his garage. He didn't realize it and he ran over it, and the table survived. So
Ooh.
was, yeah, he went bump bump. He was like, "What?" Anyway, his table is, yeah. He was freaked out over that. But yeah,
I had a similar thing. I had ordered. You saw the pictures of the wall units I got for
sure,
my fireplace room.
yeah, oh yeah,
There were two giant boxes that I had to have Jackie's friends help me move into the garage, and we were careful about it. And I'm opening them up, and instantly I see this sheet of white, whatever Melamy, wood,
yeah,
I open up the box and it's cracked. And I'm just like, oh no, I just got this. I am not going to take this. There's no way I can take it to like the post office or anywhere to
yeah,
return it. And I'm like, oh shit. And I immediately went to Amazon and started complaining and shit. And then I'm like, okay, I'm going to look at it and see, And it turned out what was broken was this thin sheet of the same material they shipped as a packing
yeah,
material.
yeah.
I'm like, huh? And for a minute there, I thought, I wonder if I can salvage this for a craft. I'm like, no,
Yeah.
no, 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 into the trash. Um,
Well,
because I could have done something with it. I don't know what, but I just like, nope, 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 nope. Just into the trash. Put those things up. It did take, because it's a big wall unit. It did take a couple of times I needed Jackie or his mom's help to put the shelves that are like really long together. Just
yeah,
hold this, I'll do all the work, kind of thing. But between those and the metal cabinets I got, like snap on
yeah,
metal tool cabinets.
yeah,
I got three of those, and the wife is like, how are you going to put that together? I'm like, just follow the instructions, you
yeah.
know.
So
And
I mean, for my friend, like I said, he has the 4x8 with the whole thing with the leaves and everything else.
Mhm.
That thing's pretty sturdy. We haven't had any problems with it. And really, for him, like the rest of us, is he has 600 board games. You don't
Hmm.
buy it unless you plan on using it. And that's the point
Well,
that we made.
if you got 600 board games, buying something like that could very well keep you from having 650 board games. So it's not a
No,
bad expense.
no, it won't stop
I
him from
mean,
getting
it's kind of crazy.
650. Trust me, it won't stop him from getting 650. Um,
I know. I was just that's
I,
what you tell the wife. It's like I either buy this or I buy 20 more games.
I mean, just like I like, people forget how expensive cabinets are. I like to have good, solid, shelves, and getting those. And we're not talking about the particle board crap, which is what I think a lot of
No,
people
the
assume.
ones I put together in the
Yeah.
garage, they were stainless steel, and she's like, you're never going to be able to put those together. Why'd you get three? You're not even going to be able to put one together." I'm like,
Oh, that's
whatever. Go to work. You go to work, woman. She comes home that day. One of them's already built. It's like, you did that by yourself. I'm like, yeah.
I'll
All you
tell you.
need is a freaking screwdriver. Next day she comes home. The other two were built. It's like, how'd you make that one? The other one's so fast. Well, once I knew how to do one, it's like all the thinking parts, all just
Well, we'll see.
screwdriver, a little bit of hammer work,
See, I
done
think
deal.
people are thinking like a lot of this is IKEA level stuff. I'm like, no, it's
No, no,
not.
no, 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 no,
It,
no.
the other thing I also mentioned is when I'm talking about shelves is I like wooden shelves from the aesthetic aspect. And some of the best shelves you can get for wooden shelves, go find a lawyer that's retiring because they have
Hmm.
all those legal books all up there. Go buy,
Mhm.
if you can get one, and that's what I did for a couple of my shelves. And those things are heavy. Don't get
I,
me wrong.
I, I would want the books too.
Well, sure. Well, I mean,
I mean,
but
if
but, but
what's his name in Catch Me If You Can, if he can, teach himself law and pass the bar, I'd be willing to take, try a hand at it.
sure. Well, it just depends on where you were. But I'm saying, but for the bookshelves, like I went to one place where they were getting rid of stuff. Like, I'm not saying that the stuff's the best, but I have an executive desk that I usually put my computer on. I forgot that thing's like 250 pounds or 300 pounds. It's like you're not moving this by yourself. It's and those are the kinds of things that I like to buy. But it's like anyone that's ever done a kitchen remodeling, go look at the price of
I
cabinets
used
and
to
then
do
talk
it for
about
a living. I hated it.
it's.
Oh, I
I will
fucking
say
hate
it's just if you can find a good carpenter that's a friend of yours that likes to do stuff, man, then go ahead and have him build you your own table. Because he already has all the woodworking. But if I have to spend $20,000 to get all the woodworking equipment to build myself a $3,000 table, I'm just going to buy the $3,000 table. um,
it. Because for
The TV won't turn on.
try
yeah.
using the remote or
Actually,
the
one of my coworkers made me
did you
this
declare
really nice
or something. No, oh, it's the
Yeah.
other. Okay,
board.
it's got two buttons.
Yeah, it's a power button. I did that.
You did it? Did it work?
I even pushed the button on the TV.
See if
All
I can
right,
get.
guys. I'll be right back.
All right.
Well, a lot of my shelving.
So I have
is
a cutting
okay,
board which
but
I need to use
it's
right here.
bolted to the wall. Like, oh yeah, that's nice. Like the shelf behind me is just IKEA, but we just put studs in the wall and like mounted it. So it's
Yeah,
more,
I mean, don't get me wrong. There's a certain point where your choice is between board games and getting yourself a nice table, and usually board games wins.
Yeah, usually. Usually.
We'll see if I can save up enough money to build a house, which I think I can get in another 2 years if we don't go completely crazy for all of the inflationary stuff in the last 5 years. But
Yeah, well, it certainly feels like that, right? So,
yeah, it's like, just stop it. But those are, if I can build a nice house, then of course I want to have a nice table. I want some nice furniture. And how much are chairs going for? It's like a low end chair is like $600 and a high end chair is like 1,000. It's
yeah, I mean, just for the chair that I work in, I mean, I should probably get something a bit nicer because, I mean, most of the day I can't really sit down. It's better for me to stand because of my back, although
yeah.
standing desk isn't really viable. So I need a little bit better support than I currently have, just a little bit better.
So I have one for home. I bought it was used, and unfortunately my son broke the arm off of it. Which, anyway, it was an older chair and just by repeat. But I got something similar for the one at work, and it makes a big difference having a nice chair. I got some Herman Miller chairs, and I like Herman Miller because the webbing underneath is nice because it's cooler that way. The other part is if you got food on it or something, unlike the ones that have the cloth, it's really easy to clean up, and it doesn't stay there.
Well, I mean, the whole refreshments thing, I'm like, I just think that food and drinks and cardboard and paper and dice don't really mix. Like, that's something I would like stop to do somewhere else in the house.
Well, again, if you don't have, if you're talking about limited space, then it makes a lot of sense to have it where you can do both because it's like, hey, we'll play board games, and then the rest of the time you use it like a regular table, a dining room table. So that always helps, and that's part of the reason that I like it is I don't need to have two tables in there. If it was up to me, I would do a combination between air hockey, pool table, and dining room table, and depending on what you remove off of it, depends on what you can do with it.
Yeah, well, Ree's always telling me like she wants to get a football table because she really likes that.
Yeah,
But you know, maybe we could put that in the garage and it would have a dual use. You know, if we can get a cover for it.
yeah.
Or, yeah.
It, and that's the problem, though, is you have to. I think that sometimes makes more sense if you're in part of a, like when I was in going up to some of Fort Hood, where they used to have these recreation facilities for the soldiers, and then they would have a pool table and a foosball table and stuff, where a bunch of people rotate in and out to use it. Um,
Mhm.
it makes more sense. But if it's just you, unless you got like, well, I bought this thing, and that takes up way too much room in the house, and we only play, once a week. Like, why am I even doing that?
Well, once a week is quite good. I mean, I'm trying to I'm trying to get up to that frequency. That's not bad at all. Once
Well,
a week,
that's what I mean. Is that's why when we're talking about this gaming table, the great thing is even if your friends leave for a week, you don't have to. You know, in the old days, you would have to remove everything off, and you'd have to either take a picture or write it down on what you had and what who was where. Now you just put the leaves on top, and you just ignore it until they come back, which I think is really
I
nice.
mean, games that I play with other people, I'm playing with people like my brother who has to travel a fair ways.
Yeah.
My partner who I don't necessarily like. I'm happy to play a dungeon crawl with her, but I don't necessarily want to be like, so let's learn about the War of Spanish Succession today. Like, you know what I mean?
What
But
are you saying? Well, that depends. Are you saying you don't want to learn it, or she doesn't want to learn it?
well, it's not that she doesn't have any intellectual curiosity. It's just not really her area. I mean, tomorrow we're going to see the He-Man movie, which is like her. She's a massive
Okay.
He-Man fan, which is kind of funny. But um, we'll see how that turns out. It might be a stinker. It might be kind of fun.
So
We'll
what I've
see.
heard
I haven't
is,
really watched it. I haven't watched a whole superhero movie since like the original Iron Man. Like all of that stuff just passed me by
well, then you
completely.
haven't missed anything. What I've heard,
Yeah, I get that impression.
so what I've heard is, because I've been listening to a lot of reviews, is is people people say it's enjoyable and forgettable at the same time. I was like, okay, and then people who are not
I
invested one way or the
do.
other, they're like,
I
it'll be a
want
movie you
many
go
of my
see and have fun
experiences
with.
to be like that.
It's like
Enjoyable but forgettable is fine.
it's like having a mediocre Chinese meal. It's enough to satisfy at the moment, but like an hour or two later,
Well,
you forget it and you want another something else.
what's the expression? Don't let perfect be the enemy of good.
Yeah, exactly.
Sometimes I send pictures of models that I painted to my brother, and he's like, "I already know that you're stripping it to redo it. Stop."
Well, you know what though is, I think that's sometimes the nice thing about doing an army rather than
Yeah,
a centerpiece model is if you do an
yeah.
army, the expectation is, does it look good from 6 feet away?
Well,
And it
yeah,
does.
I think like the front facing part of your army, you should go absolutely ham. But like the guys back in the sixth rank of like the pike formation, it doesn't really matter if they just get three colors and a wash. That's fine.
Yeah. I, you know
Yeah.
what? It's hey, guess what? There's a flesh looking face. You've put the blue color on the hat, and the gun looks like it has some wood, and you put a little silver on the bayonet. Fantastic!
Mhm.
You've done a good job on your Napoleonic.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, I think even the perception, I mean, this is one reason why I might actually start a channel at some point, because I feel like historicals in particular need to be a bit demystified. Like, they're kind of set up to be this really hard to get into thing with, ridiculously exacting standards. And I've actually kind of found that most of the most helpful people I've known have been into that. You know what I mean? Like, they're
Yeah.
always willing to, like, show me how to make things a little bit better, etc., etc.
Well,
You
and
know?
again, if you really want to talk about when you're doing lines of armies, the only one you really need to paint really well in the front is the first rank, and really well in the back
Yep.
on the back rank. And the middle can kind of be a mushy color, and people are okay with that.
Yeah. Yeah, I look at it as like if they're figures that are going to get removed in the first couple of turns, like maybe don't sweat them so much. You know, if you're taking like guys off the back rank or whatever, or every time you suffer casualties, if you're playing that kind of game, then yeah, like you don't.
Yeah,
have to sweat it too
well,
much.
as you suffer casualties, you pull them out of the middle, not the front rank.
Oh yeah, I mean you can do that as well. I mean I'm thinking more of like rank and flank, although I don't really even play. That's kind of like something I don't even really do. I just play like skirmish games because it's
Yeah.
nice and easy, low overhead of about 30 to 50 figures.
Oh, see, to me, as you know, when you say skirmish, I keep thinking anywhere from like 10 to 15 aside.
This whole, I mean, it's kind of almost podcast fodder. Like there's so many
Yeah.
podcasts about what constitutes a skirmish game for you, and like I'm thinking more tactical skirmish or big
Okay, yeah.
skirmish, where I'm like controlling a
A
couple of
platoon
supported
or two?
platoons or a
Yeah.
half company or something.
Yeah.
Like yeah.
I think the other part of when I was looking at it is at the end of the day, if you put something out there and it's somewhat painted and it's based, you can always
Oh.
add more to it if you need to over time. Just get something out on the field.
I did some Dark Age Irish, and to be honest with you, they weren't my best. I was kind of trying a different method, and they're a bit messy, and they took a bit of tidying up. And even then, it was just kind of like, well, they're just okay. But I looked at them the nect day, and I just realized that painted is always better than unpainted. It doesn't really, they don't have to be works of art always.
And again, that comes down to your centerpiece. My view, especially if you're doing historical, is I would rather the centerpiece models be your like your churches or whatever you're going to be doing for that. Put the detail in that work, because that's your real centerpiece in your historicals. Is the that farmhouse for the Napoleon at Waterloo?
La Haye Saint and
yeah. I mean,
Hougoumont and
that is what people care about. The people else that are out there, I hate saying it, when you have, especially if you play in the really big ones, if you have 300 or 400 models per side, they kind of get lost. No one really goes over like, well, and if you look at the old,
I mean, sometimes when I watch people play really long role-playing games, I think that's a bit tedious. Like I was really attracted to Pathfinder, and then I watched a lot of people like play Pathfinder in mega dungeons, resolving these really long, drawn-out combats, and I was like, man, this is actually not that granular. It's kind of clunky.
Yeah.
Well,
my friend plays
it's the
Pathfinder.
same thing applies to wargaming. It's like you get to a certain size, and it's it's a great spectacle. Like the visual side of it is great,
Sure.
but it's maybe a bit beyond me. I'm like happy to leave that to the older heads, like Ken Riley with his like big demonstration games with like 300 figures aside. They look amazing, but when you watch him play them, the rules he's using are very, very simple for a reason.
I know. Have you seen not that one, is the what's it called? If you ever looked at the paint that was for Napoleonics, I guess from the 30s and stuff, and realized how crappy it was then, I'm like, you're miles ahead of that for their lead miniatures.
Enamel is like a little bit hard to work with if you're not used to it. And I mean, they also had things like, they didn't even have like real minis at some points. They just had flats, which was like an impressionistic,
yes,
kind of like
Stratego
gingerbread man,
like
a strip of gingerbread men with.
Yes. No, but I'm saying, but the old, lead minis that they had from, like you said, the enamel, and you look at, and the faces are crap, and it's blue, but it looks like it's dripping because it's so thick.
Or in a way, though, it's kind of sometimes amazing that they got as far as they did. Like they're amazing for that level. And nowadays, like the standard of the average like 14-year-old like Warhammer kid is it blows me away. Like I'm like, I could never do that level, but like I'm just so impressed that like there's enough knowledge out there that if you put in the hours, you could potentially get close to something like that.
James, just
for my money, you got to paint them more abstract and put a bit more self-expression into them, because that's more that's more fun for me than like
Yeah.
putting in hundreds of hours just wet blending or something, you know.
So James L, just remember, don't compare yourself to the kids that try and go for the golden demons. Compare to yourself to the guy from the 1930s, and you're like, oh, I am a master compared to these bastards.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to
Yeah.
say.
Yeah, I mean, we also like, even just from when I was a kid, like when I was a kid, like we had washers and stuff,
Yes.
but we didn't have things like, you know, the range of speed paints and kind of like quick kind of dry brushing methods, and you know,
Yeah.
like
I remember getting the
it's pretty
acrylics. I
different.
remember getting the old apple bottom paints, which were terrible because they
Mhm.
were thick, and they, you know, I remember doing some of the stuff, and the quality that we do have, which I think people forget about, is we're blessed with selection, and the problem is that we're trying to compare ourselves to the best that are out there, because those are people that are
Sure.
really on their. I think if you're going to do it, is I don't know. Did you ever watch the show? It's well, the guy on YouTube, he was called Anti Chef, and
Mhm.
when he started off, he was doing all these cooking of these complex recipes, and he kept messing it up, which made it a lot more fun. Well, 3 years
Mhm.
in now, and he's making these really complex dishes and doing pretty well. It's like, well, yeah, it's a skill like any other. If you keep up at it, you'll do pretty well.
Well, it's one of the reasons why I deleted Steam off my computer. Like I was like, looked at the number of hours I'd spent playing certain first person shooters, and like just, you know, kind of fairly mindless sort of hours grinding away in like Baldur's Gate and stuff like that. And I was like, yeah, if I had applied that to painting, I'd be pretty good by now.
Well,
So,
that's the problem I have with I need to do stuff for Foundry, is I'm trying to get there. The same thing with Dungeon Alchemist. You know, we talk about stuff that
mhm.
I go in, and part of it is let me learn the rules and let me see how things can automate. But you're
Mhm.
right, is I have to sit down and I have to go work hard on that, and I'll have to do that next week for Heckras, because I got training
Mhm.
coming up, so I'm going to have to learn a week's worth of training in a couple of days. So I'll have to go download
Mhm.
that maybe tomorrow. Um, but I know that's not what's going on here. But man, there are so many cool things you can do. And it's like, well, how much do you want to
Well, we
master?
just more broadly, like the resources you have in games. I mean, without even getting into the kind of AI topic, which is a bit contentious, like some people love it, some people hate it. I have quite mixed feelings. I'm like, I don't know. Let's see, you know. But like just even in terms of like virtual tabletop, you and I being able to have this conversation, it's great, really. Like we're pretty blessed. I
Yeah.
don't understand. I was listening to some people whinging about, they're like, oh, why do historical wargaming companies always focus on like conflicts involving Britain? I'm like, well, that's because that's where most of them are. You know,
Well,
like,
I'm going to bring up this much, which is the same reason why people talk about World War II, and then of course everyone's going,
yeah.
well, you can't play the Germans. Like, how many major battles do you have? Your choice is generally between the British. You know, you have the Allies, which, gee, we have
Mhm.
about three major armies there, and then you have the Axis, and you have about two major armies there, maybe a third if you want to count Italy. And you're like,
No, no. I mean, a lot of people who get into bolt action, they kind of seem to prefer the more obscure factions. Like, if you're on the Allies, you're playing like Commonwealth troops with like Indians and Australians and stuff. Or if you're on the
well,
Axis
that's still
side,
British.
people,
But I mean, it's still
yeah,
Britain.
like even in terms of uniform and equipment, it is in
Sure.
some ways. But like, or even on the Axis side, people like, oh, I want to play Hungary or Romania or, you know, something like that. Like people get into kind of, because World War II, I resisted World War II for a long time because it's
Yeah.
pretty destructive. I don't see any romance in like industrial scale total war, right? But
Yes.
um, it's so well documented, and there's so many great board games like that focus on World War II. I found myself just getting pulled in anyway, you know, like
So I mean, when you start looking at it, is you're going to pick the biggest major battles out there. Like one of the you talk
mhm,
about one of the video games. One of the ones I liked was called Battlefront,
mhm.
Beyond
Oh yeah,
Barbarossa,
yeah,
which was
yeah, yeah.
great because it was the WeGo at the time, and then I did the Syria, and then they did one in Ukraine. The Russian Ukraine they did 2017. Gee,
Yeah.
and they were well ahead of their time for like international stuff. But I also enjoyed
Yeah.
a game called Harpoon. But the reality of it is most people don't want to play skirmishes, and if you do
Makes
skirmish,
sense.
you tend to do fantasy. The other one that you're looking at is, what else are you going to do? You're going to do famous Roman battles, famous battles between generally the Ottomans, or famous battles between major powers. You're not doing the little skirmish between 10 units on each side, which is what a lot of the fighting was. So yeah.
Well, I mean, it depends. I think skirmish gaming probably has a pretty broad appeal for people who are like, I'm currently playing Warhammer or something and I want to get into something a bit more historical, like, because it's like, oh, all I got to do is paint like 20 guys. And
Right. Well,
read a book and maybe watch a documentary and I'm set.
What I mean is that the skirmish tends to be dominated by either sci-fi or
Oh,
fantasy.
sure. Yeah. But I'm saying gaming in general.
But I'm saying the big
gents.
massive quote realistic battles that are historical. I mean, like the U.S. No one's really doing the Spanish-American War. They're all doing the Civil
Take care,
War.
Steven.
Very few of them are doing like the Battle of Little Bighorn. Sorry, go ahead. Yeah, so that's what's going on there.
I had a whole internet shut down. I had
Oh, wow.
to fix. Fortunately, it didn't take as long as it normally does. So we're back. Thanks for keeping the show running, because I was like, oh man, that would suck.
Well, no, we're just talking about the different games and painting styles. We're talking about the. Yep.
I'm in the more obscure periods take off when there's plastics available. So nobody really cared about Wars of the Roses or Baron's War or some of these medieval conflicts, but then some people took a leap and put out some really nice plastic kits, and then everyone was like, wow, I'm getting into this period. Well, the same thing happened with even Franco-Prussian War, like Perry Miniatures just put out a bunch of kits for that. It's a pretty obscure conflict that lasted like a year, and it's really popular because the plastics are there, like.
Well, the plastics, and then allows people to do their own painting, and especially to be fair, for cultural is like when Warhammer's now looking at doing their whole Cathay thing, that's to really placate the Chinese market. And I have nothing wrong with it. I think it's, well, to be fair, I love that stuff too, but people would like stuff that represents their culture as well. And so you can be drawn to it.
That whole kind of like wuxia, like warring state stuff is like a good basis. And that, like, it's cool that they're actually doing other human factions, but it would have been nice to see all the old factions come back as well. Like, to me, the old world is like a bit unfinished. Like, you can't play Dark Elves very easily, or Lizard Man, or wet undead as opposed to dry undead. You can play dry undead, but not wet undead.
well, no. You're talking about vampire counts.
Never heard it put that way.
Yeah.
But
soggy or dry.
Lizardmen have plenty of stuff. The Lizardmen have a big old selection. But at the end of the day, is you want to talk about some historical stuff. I want to see more elephants. And guess what? Guess which group has that? India. But I don't see anything for Indians, and I think that would be really popular in my view.
You can get ancient Indian miniatures like in a number of scales.
Yeah, I've seen them.
The plastics in
I've seen them all
28.
my life.
I've seen them. I just haven't, but they're not like. Whenever you look
What
at
it takes is for someone to do a multi-part kit in 28mm and like market it and make a kit where you can kind of get more than one unit out of it. And that will make
Are you taking off grid? I guess if so, I will see you tomorrow. If you're gonna hang out, cool. If you want to join the show, you know where the link is.
But yeah, I mean, but I'm not saying that it doesn't exist. But the big Indian armies, I just don't see a lot of, and I think that would be something that, because I always like the cool stuff. Bring me out the big monsters. What was one of the things I loved about the Lord of the Rings movies? Oh, when they bring out the elephants,
Mhm.
the, because those are your
I've seen
centerpiece
some pretty
models.
good. I've seen some pretty good war elephant conversions where they've taken like a Carthaginian or Macedonian
Yeah.
elephant and made it fantasy. Um,
Well, did the old one
really
that they
good.
used to have for Forge World when they had
Mhm.
that war mammoth, that one looked really. The other problem I have is
I
28
remember the
millimeter.
old undead war mammoth from I think Raw
Nice.
Partha. That was
Okay.
a. I still have some pieces of it, and a couple years ago we took some of those elephants you get from Hobby Lobby, the higher end plastic animals. We just covered his ass with milliput, made it look like fur. Turned out just
Mhm.
fine.
Well, I mean, if you look at it, this is where I like the epic scale, is because when you get a war mammoth on the board, it just takes. And the other problem is that a lot of 28 millimeter, it's longer battles for stuff. It's like, look, I would like to see a bunch of them at the smaller scale, which is why I loved epic. It's like you could put a
Let's see if
bunch
I can
of
find my.
big stuff in there.
I'm gonna find my elephants. I've got some Carthaginian ones. They're still on the sprue.
So the question is, what scale are they?
20 mil, like 1/72nd scale,
Oh,
like
okay.
slightly smaller, just slightly smaller.
Okay, because I thought some of them were out there were like 15 millimeter or
Oh,
12
Oh, you
millimeter.
can get everything and anything, but
Oh yeah.
let's have a look in my little 172 shelf. Okay, so a while back, I got this Roman army in a box.
Okay.
They're very basic figures. It's 1/72nd figures,
Yeah.
and they're like, pretty basic.
Yeah. Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
but they'll do the job, get you where you want to go. But in the Carthaginian box, I do believe there is an elephant. So I'm trying.
See,
to
that's where
locate
most.
some. There's a
But
bolt thrower in the Roman one, like a ballista.
yeah. But the Battle of Zama is the big one when everyone talks about having elephants.
Here we go.
Oh
Two
yeah.
elephants.
Are you sure those are okay? Those okay? Yeah. No, I mean.
So this is a 28. This is the 28 mil figure next to a 172. Like
Okay.
yeah, third bigger basically. Yeah. So,
Yeah, they keep on getting those things bigger and bigger. I remember when it was 172, and then 25, and now it's 28, and then now they're getting up to like 32 and 35. Okay.
Yeah, it's getting to a point where I'm like, okay, that's fine, but like it does reduce your options for kit bashing and like things like Victrix, they're always a bit heroic scale and they do look bigger than everyone else, and I don't mind. But then you've got things like that are pushing into 35, 38. I'm like, just pick.
We're gonna end up back. We're gonna end up back at what 52 or 54 playing with Cowboys and Indians and Green Army men.
Yeah. I'll run out of room. I won't have room for it.
And those favor painters who want to do that, but for a gamer, you're just making it too big for me to use those pieces.
Shadow and I have a pact that when we're really old and our eyesight is failing, we're switching over to 54s.
Well, what is that one that was? Is it Parabellum? The one where they have, because I like their
Conquest.
dinosaurs that they have.
Conquest.
I'm ready to go back to Marks. Just bring back everything Marks made. We'll be good.
We can get a lot of it now. They still make a lot of it. That YouTube video where they said they don't make them anymore is just categorical.
I was showing James. What was it, like Thursday night? I just completed my Marks glow in the dark Universal movie monster. Remember the old Spider-Man and Hulk Marks plastic army men, but they're like 6 inches tall. I think I'm going to do those next. But Marks only made 6 of the movie monsters, and none of them was Dracula. Can you believe that? They made the Wolfman. They made the Hunchback of Notre Dame for some reason. Frankenstein, the Mummy, the Werewolf, and of course the Creature from the Black Lagoon. But they didn't make Dracula because of his cape. It would have used so much more plastic. They decided we're just not going to do Dracula. I'm like, Did they not realize back in 1962 how popular Dracula was going to be and would always be? Um,
Well, there are a lot of weird things there. No, but like I said, it's man, the conquest miniatures look awesome for that, and it looks, and I especially love especially the dinosaur ones, which is the Wardoon or whatever they're called. But
Mhm.
like, well, great, I'll just get more plastic. I won't paint, so that doesn't do me any
Well,
good.
yeah, I did ask someone who plays that game, like, what do you do for scenery? And they're like, oh, I just use 28 mil scenery. I'm like, oh, that's all you can do, I guess. you know.
Yeah.
So
Well, I still remember as a kid what I did, and my father yelled at me because I tore up the yard. Is I put in, trench lines and everything else, and I dug it out, and I removed the grass and everything else, so it looked like World War II with the. Anyway, of course, he was pretty angry about that because it screwed up the yard. And at
well,
that point,
you were just
but
improvising a sand table, clearly.
oh yeah, well,
I'm
well,
telling you, I one of these days I've got to play on a sand table. I've never been able to do that, but it's always been on my bucket list. I don't care what game, just to see if it is all it was cracked up to be. It was back in the day. It was the way it was done. You just had a sand table.
Well, I think sand tables should be awesome for that, and I think that's one of the things that, when we're talking about tables. Hey, guess what? Put that outside. You put that over with
Yeah.
your volleyball court, and then when you want to, hey, guess what? We'll take the volleyball court off, and we'll use this for miniatures, and then convert it back to the volleyball court. Um,
Well, I do sometimes take the kind of cheap army men that I have lying around the house and put them out in the yard and take a little photo of them in the grass and stuff
yes.
like that. It's kind of fun, you know?
Oh yeah. No, I was just looking at this, the 2,000 point stampede stuff for Conquest, and you're right. Those are visually, and of course, a lot of it has to do with what they're doing for painting. But there's just something about putting a dinosaur on a table and having it go through,
Yeah, I mean, I really
an
like
army.
I really like most of their factions. I even like the dwarf faction, and they've just done a kind of wood elf faction that's very kind of like they're riding like dragonflies and stuff like that. It's pretty
Yeah,
cool. Like,
yeah. I think
yeah,
they all go different aesthetics. The problem that you
yeah,
have with all of them is, um, either they want them to get so you keep buying the miniatures and hope that you never paint
yeah.
them, and you keep buying more miniatures that come out, but then the line gets so big that they have to trim it back, and so you're kind of in that weird cycle for how that
Well,
works.
that's a very GW thing of like selling an army and then like squatting it in the rules, like they did with Beastman and a couple of others recently, squatting old units. But it is when you make that many kits, it is very hard to support them every time you release a new edition. Like it's hard not to. That's one thing I like about historicals or even just generic fantasy
Yes.
is that like there's no meta. There's no meta to chase.
Well, that's why I do like 5 parsecs from home and 5 leagues from the borderland. Spider. It doesn't
Mm-hmm.
matter what spider it is. Oh, you do this, and it's like
Yeah,
bring your own minis. I'm like, okay, but I don't
yeah,
not making a lot of money off the rules, but I still enjoy having that. And it's like, okay, um,
yeah.
you make a little bit of money off of it, and that's why people don't like to hear this. This is why most people go bankrupt in tabletop role playing games, because if you're not doing it as a hobby or as a supplemental income, you have to keep producing, and then it's harder to keep all of your line there, where you have to refresh it every so often. And
Well,
it's
I think a lot of hobbies have like this weird jumping off point where you can kind of, if you promote people's stuff, you can kind of get the hobby to sort of pay for itself if you really
sure.
hustle. But it just becomes a full-time job in itself, and it's like, are you authentically engaging with the hobby? Do you still have time to have fun? Is it really worth it if you sent stuff that you don't like and then you've got to paint like 100 of these guys?
Well,
Like,
well, 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 no. What I mean is there is a certain point where you have to do that, but at a certain point, you're going to hit saturation. And
I
then when you
mean,
hit
even when I was
saturation, then you're going to have something else to fall back on, which is where,
even when I was
but
doing music, even when I was doing music and DJing a lot and like
yeah,
supporting international bands and stuff, I was just like, this is a very limited time frame, and it's not actually making any money. And like, really, it's just about we like noodling around on the machines. It just happens that people want to listen to us for a short period of time. You know what I mean?
Well,
I just,
remember the video I sent you the other day, the AI video on the little tricks around the house that you can do
Mhm.
to save money. Well, one thing I learned from that is that those little tricks, to save money, whatever they are, recycling or whatever, uh, it's not the short term money that's important. It's the combined total at the end of, let's say, your life. If you were, like, say, still getting paid to play gigs or whatever, but it's just a little bit here, a little bit there, over the
yeah,
course of 10 or 15 or 20 years, all that money added up. If you just like literally, if you just put all that money in the bank and just left it there, you know it,
yeah.
well,
it,
I'm going to bring this
who
much.
knows how much
The
that would
most,
amount
the
to
most
over
we ever
time.
made, the most we ever made, even playing like shows like in support of like international acts. It's basically petrol money, and like if you sell CDs at the door, as we used to, like you get to
Mhm.
keep that. But that was
Well,
really it. We had
it,
fun, we enjoyed it, and we liked music, and that was the reason we were doing it, because we liked electronic music and jumping around to
but
like
That really should be
stuff
the
like
most
that.
important thing. But so many people, have got it in their head that if they just keep at the thing, they're going to make. They're eventually, going to catch that lightning in a bottle. With, I see it
When
with
I
a
was
lot of people who design games. Not
when I
anyone
was really
particular.
when I was really a fair bit younger, like I did really have that illusion that I was going to be a rock star, like no matter what. But then I reached a certain point where I was like, actually, if I was doing this for a living, I wouldn't really be enjoying it. And like, I actually prefer having a stable job that's like separate to the things that I'm really passionate about. you know?
well, this is why I call
Well,
stuff
that does
hobbies.
afford you the ability to truly appreciate the hobby for what
Yeah,
what
exactly.
because as soon as your hobby turns into work, it's no longer a hobby, it's a job, and then it's no
Well,
longer fun. And then if you
the other thing
fail,
is,
you've ruined the hobby for yourself.
Well,
the
I'm going to
other
bring
thing
this
is
up.
like sorry, I just really want to say this is that like we all have this problem in the Western world where we want to earn passive income for just existing. Whereas, like, I realized at a certain point, I like doing jobs where I solve problems and help people and actually make an impact in the real world.
Mhm.
I think it's more important.
Uh oh, I don't know what happened to James there.
It's more important that we have more nurses and doctors and people who build things and fix, like who actually affect the economy in a material way, not just, oh,
Bankers.
I strung some stuff together. We can have one banker. We'll keep one. But
Well, no, no,
One
no,
what?
no, no, no. What I'm saying by this is people who are just they're not producing anything. They're just moving money around. That's a very different
yeah,
thing
yeah,
versus.
I
But
can't
I
stand
mean,
that shit.
no, well, I'm not saying that regardless of how it goes over, is our society is not appreciate people. It's starting to change now, but
yeah,
they don't appreciate people who are actually building things and keeping things running.
yeah,
They think that I'm sorry, if you're trading stocks, you're not producing any value. You just aren't.
yeah, yeah,
That's what I mean. Is it's very different if you're someone that's doing, and that's part of the reason I like my job too, and that's why I get mad when people say, "Well, there's nothing we can do." I'm like, you literally can do more than you think you can, if you are
yeah,
just willing to go out and do it. If people would rather sit behind the computer, complain, then go out and just we're talking like 4 hours a month. Oh, I can't do that. Oh, and I get tired of that. And it's like it's not that hard to do. And in fact, a lot of these things that are volunteer that they need people for, um, they they have to beg people to even take those positions.
well, they'll also help you get a job. You know,
No, no, no,
like
no. This isn't intended for a job. This is what I'm referring to as far as, like I said, I work with conservation districts a lot. They can't get enough people to even get a quorum. We're talking 5 people in a
right.
county of like 2 million people. That's
Yeah, people.
and then
That's
people are like,
that's
well,
a
there's
weird
nothing.
kind of
Yeah.
that's a weird kind of disengagement, isn't it? Like,
Yes.
you know,
It's like you have power. When people say democracy fails, like democracy fails when people stop engaging. Um,
yeah, you have to participate. It's the same as
Well,
like,
No, I'm sorry. Ignore the bullshit that you hear up from the national news. I'm talking at the local level. At the local level, they can't
yeah,
even
yeah.
find people to fill these positions. That's what I'm talking about.
Well,
And you
that's
have a
where you're going
lot
to
of
make the
power in there.
most.
Yeah,
That's where you're going to make the most impact on making
yeah.
your community safe and beautiful and sustainable. Like that's where you're going to have the most impact is locally anyway. I don't give a damn about like I read the national news. I'm
Yeah.
like, it's out of my hands.
Well, but I mean, even like school boards. It's like, well, how many people ran for the school board? And you find out that there are only like 2 people, or someone runs unopposed. Like,
maybe in
Yeah.
Texas, California, uh, the whole state is run by the school board. They have
I,
the most
oh,
power
well,
over anybody.
how many people are running for those positions?
I honestly don't know that exact number.
Okay. So right there's the problem. Well, they run everything, but by the way, a lot of them are running unopposed. Like,
No,
well,
not no. No, I'll show you. I'll show you a report I'm talking about.
okay.
California is very different from everywhere else when it comes to where the power is, and
I'm not referring to power. I'm referring to the fact that if you look at the number of people who run unopposed, it's something like 20 to 30%. And I'm like, really? You can't do the bare minimum to even try running an opposition? Um,
Well, not only
that's what.
that, like
Yeah.
there's this kind of weird kind of intellectual laziness where it's like, okay, well, we all kind of, whether you're left or right or in the middle, like we all kind of recognize that liberalism is experiencing a little bit of decay and like it's not serving its function for the ordinary person very well at the moment. But instead of like reforming the institutions that made it great, people are like, "Oh, what we need is an unaccountable dictatorship." Like
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah. Yeah. It's I don't know, but like and I put that up for you, Shadow, as your regional conservation districts. I'll bet you that they're begging for people to join those. Like I said, we're talking a county of over 2 million people, and they can't find enough to get a quorum of a group of 5. A quorum only takes 3 people. The one person coming in is coming in with his, and that's how bad it is. Up to the point that in certain cases, even when people want to do stuff, they can't get things up to we're talking to $50 million projects are on hold because they can't get a quorum of 3 people. 3 total people. It's that bad, and people don't understand this. Um, it, and yet they all talk about, well, there's nothing we can do. I'm like, they're literally holding up projects because they can't find people.
tomorrow belongs to the people.
Yeah,
Tomorrow belongs to the people who are going to show up and like,
yeah, exactly.
that's
Uh,
why that's how like people talk about like this kind of long march through the institutions kind of thing. It's like, well, if you stay disengaged, that's going to continue. Like
and like I said, I'm not arguing about the national level, but we're talking at the local level where people run unopposed. People don't go out and vote at all. We're talking elections that are unanimously won by one person with one vote.
that's never happened in California in my lifetime.
Don't give me that. I can talk to my. Let me go talk to my friend who lived in California. I'll bet you he can tell me all sorts of these stories. Because here's the other part: you don't know these things exist. That's the other thing that happens. You just don't know they exist. If you knew that they
I
existed,
voted in every election in the last
how many
15 years,
elections do you normally vote in per year?
like 4.
Okay, well, okay, so you voted 4 elections per year. Okay, that's good. That means you are doing that. But I'm telling you, a lot of these elections are elected locally by showing up. You show up and then you put your vote in. You don't. It's not in the ballot. It's not in a ballot. You go to a meeting and you vote in there, and they're public. They're public
Right.
government organizations, and most people don't know they exist. And in fact,
Well,
in
here, we, even though it's a small town, we have uh, signs all the damn time. Like there's if one comes down, it's to be replaced with another one for some other election.
Okay, have you
And
ever been to
and,
your
and
regional conservation district?
pardon me?
Have you ever been to your regional conservation district?
No, no, I don't even know that's uh, that would probably be in Los Angeles because we're
No, no,
technically
no, it's not. There are like 100 of them. There are a bunch of there. Again, it just depends on where they are. And you're right. Sometimes it's far for you to drive. I'm not disagreeing with that, but
yeah, well,
um, but but it
anywhere is
but
far for me to drive.
but the fact, yeah. Well, no, I mean, but the fact is that there are meetings out there, and guess who has the biggest ability to influence those? Those people who stay at home and are either retired or independent. They're self-employed or something like that.
Right.
But as I said, is I go to these places. How in the world can you get a county of 2 million people and you can't find five? I mean, they're having problems keeping three, and three is the minimum for the quorum. Um, and it's not just them; it's a lot of them. In fact, the point they beg people not to leave, and the average age. I've seen guys come in with like oxygen tanks. In the meeting. No, I kid you not. The guy wheels in his oxygen tank and he sits there and you can hear it go. He's like 83 years old. And I'm like, well, we appreciate it. He's like, we're begging people to join. And they can't. Now, there are certain requirements you have to have for it too, which cuts out a lot of people. But it's, you have to, in those cases, you have to be a rancher or a farmer, which is hard in an urban area, but it's still there. It just amazes me because I talk to people who even own the land that's being controlled by these districts, and they're like, "I didn't even know this district existed." I'm like, "Go run for it." The only way they find out is when they screw up, and then the district sends them a letter. That's the only way they ever find out these things exist. Um, but there are a lot of them. Like I said, I'll talk to my friend from California. But yeah, and there's I know there are more out there. There are a lot of things out there that I know that they exist. I don't know where to find them. But there's like what is it, underwater districts. So when the people talking about AI and water and everything else in the water they're taking, they still have to go
Mhm.
through those underwater districts to get approval to pull water out of the ground. And people don't realize they're all volunteer positions. You're not going to make money off of it, you know. And they're like 4 hours a month or something to do. Um, I'm like, you people have power, use it. That's why I always get so mad about that when they claim that they don't. We have to burn the system down. Like, okay, what are you going to replace it with?
Yeah, I'm like
Yeah.
okay, who takes the bins out after the revolution?
Yeah. At the end of the day, who's going to still pave the roads? How are you going to get power out there? Who's going to make sure that, otherwise it's going to, if you really want to use by force, guess what? The people using force don't care what your opinion is either. So
The reason everything is run by Karens is because Karen shows up. You know what I mean?
yes.
Like,
Oh, I know.
yeah.
That's exactly true. So I said, like, for school boards, I saw a local one. 3 people ran, 3 people voted. No, I'm sorry, 4 people voted. One person got 0 votes, which is like, why did you even? I guess they voted for another person. And we know these school districts have like 5 or 6 thousand kids. And you're telling me only 3 people are willing to show up to vote? I'm sorry, 3 people willing to run? Um,
The
yeah.
problem is also like civics. It's like a lot of this stuff is publicly available, but you're not really taught how to engage with the system and how to like make the most of it and how to have your say and who to talk to when you know what I mean. Like you just kind of show up and go, "Who's my local representative? Maybe I'll send them
Yeah.
an email. I don't know."
Well,
You know, like,
a good example of that was, when they taught government in school. I don't know how you guys were taught, but I've been sitting in these meetings. They always use Robert's Rules of Order. They don't teach that in government. I'm like, shouldn't that be the first thing you teach in government is Robert Rules of Order? Because that's what most organizations use that are doing this stuff.
Huh,
Um,
it's not here.
that's what is?
The thing I wanted to show you.
Oh, okay.
That is really weird. Every video I've watched all day except that one.
Okay.
Um,
I don't. I'm just. again, our real point is people need to show up, and showing up is where you win.
Yeah, be like Karen.
Well, this is why, like when I was in Chicago, and not that I liked the teachers unions or anything, but the teachers unions generally determined who won those elections, and those were always terrible. Um, and I think there's a lot of unethical things going on. But again,
It seems like a lot of that sort of thing is very politicized over there, whereas like, you know, our teachers unions are more like, can we negotiate a pay rise? And we're like, yes or no. You know, like there's less
well,
controversy every year.
well, a lot of it has to come down to this. It's not that I'm against. I don't like public unions as a whole. People try talking about this stuff. I'm like, yeah, but then you just don't go into that. Um, the problem I have with a lot of it is that they're working against the taxpayers. It's the real reason. It's the same reason that FDR didn't like public unions. I'm all for public unions and not public unions and private unions. Like, sure, that's fine, but this is the government, and if you don't like it, you'll go somewhere else. Um, and it just even my friends who were teachers a lot of times like charter schools because they got a little bit more freedom. But yeah, it's one of these things that regardless of how it goes in there, no one minds it if everyone's trying to work for the betterment. Like, again, I tell people, even having a corrupt government, if the corrupt government is still improving your life, I'm willing you to take off some, I'm willing you to skim off some money off the top. The problem is when my life is going down and you're skimming more and more off the top, I'm like, okay, we're having a problem.
There are practical limits on how much graft you can accept.
Yes,
You know
exactly.
I mean? Yeah.
My father had to deal with a bunch of when he was in the Baltic countries, not the Baltic, the former Yugoslav countries. He was working with the UN, and they specifically said we're losing huge amounts of equipment from the warehouse. He said we need you to stop it. And my father came in and said, okay. If you lose more than 2% or whatever it was like 5%. It was whatever percentage you put in there. If we lose more than this per month, everyone gets fired. And you know what? Suddenly it went well below that because none of them want to lose their job or access to taking stuff out.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, we know that there's going to be some loss. We know that you can steal some stuff. Don't let it go past this level and you all don't get fired. And they're like, oh, okay. And that saved him more than anything else.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's also like the local culture. They're like, kind of, there's a lot of conflict going on. People are like, how am I going to survive the next couple of years? Like,
yeah. Well, and they did pay fairly well, but the other part is organized crime also wants that access. They won't have to bribe new people, so
yeah.
They don't want to hear like, well, we're just gonna keep firing people out. They're like, oh, okay, guys, don't steal more than this amount, and we'll keep
don't steal more than this amount.
No, I mean that's true. That's exactly what happens.
It's sickening that.
Well, you can say it's sick, but you have to be, but you have to have reality, which is if you're losing 15% per month versus 2% per month, you're like, look, that it's just easier to solve it that way. It's like, okay, I'm not going to do a big investigation. We just to lose a little bit. It's exactly when it starts getting way up there. So
I mean, I definitely saw it in the corporate world. I saw it more in the corporate world than in government, where my boss would be like, "I'm just going to write off this asset. Don't worry about it." I'm like, okay.
We're going to write off the asset, or we're going to depreciate it by a certain amount.
Yeah. Or I'm just going to claim that this machine was like lost in storage because we really need a spare machine. So, there it is. Oh. You've got one without a serial number now.
Well, one time about something that was a little different was my friend worked for her company. Well, I say company. She was in the Army. And the company commander literally said, get rid of this stuff. And they were throwing stuff in the trash. And she said, if we're going to do that. So she just put it in the back of her truck and drove it home. And,
See, I've never done anything like that because I carry some weird curse where the second I even think about breaking the rules, I get into trouble. So I've always just tried to stick to the, stick to the expectation because, I mean, my brother says the same thing. It's like the second I start jaywalking, the police just come race around the corner.
Well, again, it's one of those things. So that, but she was talking about she had like 6 stethoscopes. We're talking things that are hundreds of dollars. Like you're talking about, remember those big cabinets that they had for tools? Like the ones that were for what was it? That Sears used to have that were like $1,500. Where
like the Snap-on tool cabinets.
Yes, she got 3 of those because the company commander said just get rid of them. I don't like the way it looks. Like,
right?
What are you doing? Just because that's, and I've heard this before. There are a lot of military where they don't care about the cost. They just don't like the way it looks in the motor pool. So get rid of it. You're like, do you know how much it costs for us to replace this? No, get rid of it because I don't like the way it looks. It takes up too much space. Not, hey, figure out what we need and what we don't. No, like, get rid of all this crap. I want this to be clean. And so your choice is either get thrown in the dumpster or a bunch of soldiers take stuff home with them.
Yeah, I heard of this Russian tank brigade where the colors of their tanks change like 5 times because they're like someone's coming to inspect them, and like there's all this debate of like, oh, what color are they supposed to be?
Well, the Air Force used to have their airmen paint the rocks because they wanted it to look nice, and so they'd come back and put fresh new paint on the rocks.
So that's been a thing that going back all the way to the 40s.
Oh, I know, but it's a waste of money. I mean, let's be honest about that. Just because some officer wants the rocks painted, like natural rock looks just fine. It's, but that's what we're talking about. Some things are intentional graft. Some of them is just inefficiency, and that's what those are your 2 things in there. It's again, sometimes people make decisions and they're not personally benefiting it, but they just don't like the way it looks. Get rid of it. Like, but we just bought all new office furniture. I don't care. I don't like the color. Go get a different color. Like, really? Okay.
I mean, I don't know. Most places I've worked, that kind of like procurement is like really documented. You know what I mean? Like, I couldn't imagine anyone doing that without being like, maybe on an overseas base, I could see it happening, but here it's like all procurement is like, it's money. You know what I mean?
It is, but I'm saying that, and I've seen this before. After a certain time period, if it's old, it doesn't matter whether it's used or not. Like, I remember perfect examples we were using for drill rigs. The guy wanted them to get rid of all of this expensive drill rig equipment because he didn't like the way it looked in the warehouse. I'm like, you don't work in the warehouse. Why the hell should you care? But this colonel's like, I don't like the way it looks. Get rid of it. And we're talking like $100,000, $200,000 worth of equipment just because he didn't like the way it looked in the warehouse.
Yeah, that sounds rational.
That's what these people think. They don't think about, hey, are you good stewards of the money, or why do you have this? And don't get me wrong. If something's rusted and busted, get rid of it. Okay, fine. I understand that part.
Maybe they should make all like military personnel above a certain level like read Catch-22 as part of the reading list.
That's a book I haven't heard in a long time, man.
Actually, the funny part is that most of them don't have to. I was talking to an SESer, which is equivalent to one of the generals. He told me his leadership principle was assholes and smiling faces. And he said, so what happens is when you start off, and he says, you have a bunch of monkeys all on this pole. And when you start at the bottom of the pole, you can't see very far. And when you look up, all you see are assholes. And as you get further and further on the pole, you can see further and further out. And when you look down, all you see are smiling faces. And when you look up, they're just less and less assholes. So he says, when you're at the top, all you see are smiling faces and no assholes. And you can see further than everybody else. And that was his description of leadership.
Right.
So But that happens all the time. Hey, what are you doing? Well, this doesn't look okay. Why do you have it now? Don't get me wrong. Some people have an emotional attachment to things. Like if you can explain why you're keeping this, that's fine. But if you can't, why do you have this piece of equipment that's broken? And that's the other
I
part too.
mean,
Is when we talk about
the last place that I worked, every rivet was like accounted for. You know,
eh,
uh,
you know what you
so
say it's accounted for, and then things would mysteriously disappear after about 4 years. It's like,
yeah, all
where
the
did it
time,
go?
all the time.
Yeah, it was. eh, Hey, it's been accessed. But then the other problem that we have with a lot of our equipment is while things work, we either can't get new cables for it because it uses the. Do you remember the old printer cables in the back with that weird
Yeah,
connector?
the serial port ones.
Yes. Well, they don't have those anymore, and then the software can't be used by the older operating systems. And so, like, well, okay, the camera works just fine, but we have to buy a new camera because we just can't get parts for it anymore, or the software doesn't work, or it's not supported anymore.
Yeah, I once worked at I went for a job at this financial company, and they had an old guy there who was looking after one legacy computer system from the 80s that they couldn't change underneath the whole code
Yes.
system. And he kept asking to be allowed to be retired, and they're just like, "No, man, we need you."
well, you know what? It's funny because they keep offering you more and more money, and you're like, "Look, can I just
Yeah, yeah,
retire?" No, no, no. We'll
yeah.
give you
He's
an
just
extra
like,
money.
please let me go home. Like,
Yes. Oh, I remember that in the late '90s, and I said I don't want to learn COBOL. There's no future in COBOL. But boy, those
yeah,
COBOL programmers were making bank in the '90s because they had to update all the legacy code. It's like, oh
yeah,
wow. And what amazed me is they were talking about multi-billion-dollar companies like Exxon and stuff, and they were still running all of their payroll on like 1960 software with running
yeah,
on COBOL, and they weren't sure how they're going to deal with it. It's like, guys, you got to figure out when to retire some of this stuff.
yeah.
Excuse me. Oh my god, I'm so sick of these lampposts, guys.
Oh, I told you, this is what you should do. You just grab the
I
children.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, there's no
Agreed with
children
that.
here except Jackie, and Jackie's. I don't know what he's doing.
You say, son, I need you to grab 5 of your friends, and they're going to do this for 4 hours for me. Otherwise, you have to find a new place to live.
Yeah, that's not going to work. You know that.
You only have to kick him out once, and when he comes back, when he helps you out with the lamppost, look, son, I expect you to do 4 hours of painting a week for me. You don't have to pay to stay here, but you do have to do some labor. So,
Yeah, I don't know how that's going to work.
it works by my way or the highway, son. Here you go. I need this painted by tomorrow. Thanks. I love you.
Yeah, you seem to forget how outnumbered I am out here.
Oh, you're just a big softy is the real reason. Um,
No, 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 no. I mean, he's got a whole bunch of family that I can't do shit about, and they would be here in a heartbeat if they thought I was up to
Yeah,
anything.
they call him Gringo Star.
yeah. You know
Yes.
what you need to do is you need to say, look, I'm either going to report you to INS, or you're going to help me paint all of these things. Okay.
Oh shit! If I could do that, they're all legal. If I could do that, I would have done that a decade ago.
So I know. Well, it's just like, hey, if you stay at this house, this is
They're
my
all
expectation.
good, when it
Well,
comes
like, you
to
just need
that.
to do this.
I'd have to start planting contraband on them or something.
Well, no. You just say, I understand you're here, but I need you to sit down, and you have to do 4 hours of work, a week. That's all I'm asking, Grandma.
I
There you
don't think
go.
he did 4 hours a week when he was going to school. I mean, in school.
That's I'm talking about all your in-laws.
Oh, yeah. That, yeah.
It's just like, look, if you're coming over
I think
for
that's
dinner, I
kind of
expect you to do
the
this.
I think that's kind of the problem with high school is that if you are an intelligent kid, it's not very challenging and you can kind of breeze through it. But then
Yeah.
you get out into the world or you go to college and you're like, holy heck, like, I'm being bombarded with information now.
Well, I have to
actually pay
laugh
attention.
because I was talking to one guy and he said the problem is that people think grades matter and really it's work experience matters. So it's like you can
Yes.
make fees as long as you do good work for the people, for an internship. I was talking to a guy locally here and he had a good head, he had a good head on his shoulders. He was 24, 25, and he was offered $110,000 starting, graduating from college. But he had worked for this company as an intern for like 4 years. And he said his friends that all had better grades with 4.0s could not find a single job out there because no one knew what their work was like.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, look, grades matter less. I mean, did you learn the material and can you do the job? That's what they don't care about grades.
But I would not work for some corporation for free for 4 years either.
No, he wasn't. He didn't work.
It was paid or part time, sure.
Yeah. Well, he was paid like 10 to 20 hours a week for stuff, but they knew what his work quality was. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, I'm like starting to think about getting back into work, and I'm just like, I'll take any entry level job that doesn't hurt my back. Really, at this point,
That's
I
fair.
don't mind. I just want to earn a bit of extra money. I don't really have any major goals anymore, So.
My goals have been crushed. All I have to do
is the main one.
That's good. I like the color. I mean, it would be better if you had light going from the front of it so we could see. But yeah, that's good.
Mm-hmm. Probably. They're a bit messy at the moment, but they need it. Let's try it. Flip them and come around.
Yeah, if you can get some nice sunlight on it or something.
Let's have a look. So camera facing back. There we go. Very good.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, that looks a little bit better. I can see the
Mm-hmm.
Bit closer, child. Come closer, child. Come closer. You're a bit messy. We're getting there.
Yeah, I mean, I was even talking for my son for an apprenticeship, and they were all excited that he was interested in an apprenticeship to be an electrician. And apprenticeships pay you, and the apprenticeships here pay. And I was like, okay, so you get paid to learn how to do your job, and then after 4 years of working for them,
Sparking's a great career. Like, as long as you're careful, as long as you're very safety oriented and don't screw around, like Sparky is a great job.
Well, I'm kind of tempted to put my son into an OSHA class for 30 hours, so then he can have that certification as well before he even goes.
Yeah, well, that's it. That's it, because the goal with anything like that is actually to get off the tools in the long run, right?
Well, my son actually likes working. Well, my son actually likes working on the tools, but my point being is if you can do both, then you can start saying, "Hey, guess what? I can be a superintendent and I can do the work." Because I remember working some construction, and the guy was running the excavator, but he was also the boss. Like, "Hey, do this, do that, do this." So he knew what was going on. That's
funny because that's actually Shadow's porn name.
The excavator.
The Earth Moving Equipment International.
Isn't that name supposed to be based on the name of your first pet and your first street address name, like not the number, but
I don't remember for the whole thing. I just
because I did that, and mine would have ended up being Dudley Parliament.
Oh, okay.
Sort of British gent.
I know, right? Could you
bowler hat off it?
That'd be like the most British porn name ever.
You drop your monocle into the girl's cleavage.
Right?
Yes, yeah, that's right. Well, he needs to be the Southern gentleman with deadly Parliament, with the monocle, and he just needs to get that deep Southern accent.
The big old pork chop sideburns.
Yep.
I do declare I'm working up a sweat, Miss Jones. I need me a mint.
Exactly.
There's a guy. I've only known two people in my life that ever did the full on freaking pork chop things, the sideburns, and one of them works at my Walmart. I saw him this morning, and was like, dude. And I've never said it, but I'm like, why? I mean, what is? I mean,
because he has to be a Civil War reenactor.
It's the same reason millennials grow mustaches. It's like it's the closest thing I have to a personality, really.
Maybe because I want to be like Magnum PI, but I don't have the looks for it. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
No,
just
no,
always. I remember there was a character, or like maybe more than one, but I remember there was also a character in a Doctor Who episode, the one where they started, some of the people in it started devolving into like Cro-Magnon men in the episode,
Yeah,
and I'm like,
Inferno.
I think
Yeah.
I think that's it, and I'm like, what? How? I mean, with the mullet, I understand, but it's like the mullet, it's like, what were you thinking? It's just
I'm
There's a
still trying
mullet.
to.
There's a
just never
mullet
understood.
festival.
I'm still trying to think of the giant cod pieces that they used to wear along with the shoes with the curls on the toes. That was the fashion of the time.
I just love that. I just love that. Like that was like if you weren't wearing that back then, people would be like, "What are you, gay? Like, where's your frilly collar? Why don't you have a mole painted on your face? What are you like? Be lighting the loafers or something?"
I know you. Well, I mean, everyone that's watched Blackadder,
Right?
Blackadder
That's
the
funny.
first. But the Blackadder for the first one, you're just like, oh my god, they actually did wear this stuff, and it was. In the meantime, I'm like, well, I kind of like the knights and things that, the ones that were not dressed like that all the time.
Yeah.
It's still funny when you watch some of that stuff.
Oh crap!
Blackadder's great, but I do kind of reject that whole kind of narrative around leadership in the First World War. Like they made some big mistakes early on, no doubt, but I think that the situation basically forced them to adapt, right? Like,
no, I agree with you. So I was hearing what was the Grand Marshal, whatever it was, the general in charge. Haig. Okay, he was given a lot of negative publicity, but he actually did seem to care for the soldiers and certain things like that. But
yeah,
at the end of the day, unfortunately, you had two relatively equal forces until the Americans joined in, and then the flu of 1918, until you had the Spanish flu, and that they were deadlocked. Not much was changing either way.
Yeah, people say that. I mean, like there are different phases of the war. Like in the early phase of the war, the French actually blunted the German invasion, like to the point where, okay, that's the start of the deadlock. So they did pretty well. And people don't credit France for like pretty much making the same sacrifice Russia did in World War II, right? But then you've got like the Germans, like as usual, like the German tech tree, clearly they're dealing with aliens behind the scenes. Like, they actually had like quite advanced trench networks. You get into a German trench, it's got like electricity and like concrete walls and stuff. Right.
Well,
and they were doing pretty well until about 1916, 1917. And then a couple of offensives failed. And then the kind of British and French counteroffensives, like when they start rolling out the tanks, it's not totally decisive, but it's a factor. Right.
Well, both sides started getting tanks, but they started figuring out how to get it. But really, it was the introduction of the Americans with fresh new troops that made the real, that's what, all of a sudden you get, 500,000 troops suddenly come in, and when all sides are pretty much exhausted.
Close to it. Yeah, the French were ready to rebel. You could have had a communist revolution in France over that because the men were just like sick.
Yeah.
dying in such numbers. But um, even that, like, it's like the Americans. It's still the last 6 months of the war. You know what I
No,
mean?
it was 1917. It was, I mean, the
Yeah,
Americans came in
May
1917.
1917. Yeah,
Well,
May
well, yeah, and the
1917.
war ended in 1918, a year and a half later. Um, but then the other part is the Spanish flu came in, and at that point, that's when you just didn't have any more troops
What
on
I'll
the.
credit the Americans with particularly is an amazing battle called Belleau Wood. You normally think of World War One as being trench warfare. This is like forest warfare. The
Yeah,
battle went for something like 30 days, and the U.S. Marines, that was like one of their big first overseas adventures where they kind of proved the
yeah.
core. And I got an interesting book about it. Yeah, it's kind of like people have a conception of like World War One being always trench warfare, but there was a lot of open warfare and a lot of forest warfare and even house to house fighting as well.
It was. I mean, I know that the Eastern Front, until the Russians pulled out, was a lot more mobile, and
Mm-hmm.
you don't build trenches when the front lines move back and forth so much. But
Yeah.
once you get into that deadline, and that's like I said, when the Americans came in, everyone was basically spent, and all of a sudden you throw in 500,000 more troops in there, and that's going to make a big
Well,
difference.
also the Italians had changed sides at that point as well. It like moved over to the Allied side.
Well, but I mean, but we're talking about breaking mostly the Germans. That was a big factor for it, and then you got the Spanish flu, and that took out. There was no one left basically to really keep
The
fighting that
Germans
war.
also had the advantage of the Russian Revolution, which they kind of helped
Yeah.
finance.
Oh yeah, of course. Well, I'm not saying they did, but I'm saying, but when you look at the two different, like I read Rommel's Attacks, which is his kind of his memory and the tactics, for World War One. I still love the favorite of in a bayonet charge, the person with the last bullet is the one that wins.
Yeah,
because he got shot in the leg. But I liked each of his little things at the end of his chapters. It was like okay, but
I really want to read Ernst. I really want to read Ernst Junger, Storm of Steel. I've heard really good things about it. It's probably a bit
Jackie's
lame, but I haven't
reading it
read
right now.
Which one is that
Oh,
one?
okay.
Jackie's reading that right now.
He's like a World War One vet.
Okay.
He was kind of a sort of, I don't know, considered a bit of a reactionary figure, but actually he's much more complex than that, a little bit mystical. He's probably one of the very few people from the world, like the Kaiser's army, to have used LSD.
Yeah.
So he's quite a character.
He had me buy that for him a couple of Christmases ago,
Mm-hmm.
and he just started reading it now.
He's famous for the quote, "Technology ruins everything, especially war."
Okay.
I mean, I loved World War One. I loved learning about World War One, but they never talked about it for the most part. Like you said, it was a lot more complex. The big problem was, and at Fort Knox, they had some of the old World War One tanks, and those things are massive. That's why everyone seems to love those stuff for, Warhammer 40K. And I'm like, I hate the World War One aesthetic. It doesn't make any sense if you're in a modern battlefield. But it was like 30 feet long. It had 5 horsepower, and it tended to break down a lot. And the Germans
the last surviving German tank from World War One is at a museum here.
Okay.
It's they painted all kinds of like interesting. I forget what it's called, but they painted some kind of devil on the side of it. It's pretty cool. But,
But like most things, is hey, we got this new technology, except it didn't do what we thought it would. But yeah, it was, and I think that was also the problem. Is a lot of the generals, it just happens today too. Learning about drones, you're always fighting the last war, not the current war, and you have to catch up on it. The Israelis are learning at, the Russians are learning at, the Americans are learning that.
Drone tech is fairly chilling because, I think about it in terms of being used against civilian populations, and I think that's pretty scary. But it definitely kind of made people rethink like armor, right? Like they're like tanks are still useful, but really
Yep.
more for getting you there and like long range support. Like
Well, the
not
problem with
direct.
the
The
problem with
drones
the
are definitely
tanks.
going to be a big part of anything going forward.
Yeah,
Mhm.
But
the big difference.
the civilians have a plethora of ways of combating them.
Mhm.
Uh, if they just look into it, the problem is with most things like civilians being engaged in any sort of you know hostilities, they're completely unprepared mentally, and they've been lulled into a complete false sense of security, and
The
and
big
have
thing with with anything in there is like a lot of it is what are you getting from it, and that's what's really coming down to. It's like if you're attacking your civilian population, you've already lost a lot of times. I mean, you can crush your civilian population, but your economy is not going to do that well, and you're
well,
just
well,
Look at
destroying
well,
the
your
well, yeah,
then
you're
so
talking
forth.
about wait, if I if I'm Russia or China, I absolutely want to destroy the civilian population.
No, you don't.
Why you want them all dead?
No, you don't.
It says who?
In fact, you want
it's
the
not
exact
even
opposite. You want in the United
yeah.
States, you do not want that at all because the civilian population reduces the government's ability to fight in a democratic sense. You're the other part is in at least
What
half
kind of
America.
war are you talking about?
I'm talking now. In fact, you are better off. This is why people keep forgetting about things. Vietnam War was won because of the civilian population by the North Vietnamese because the population turned against the war. That's why you don't want to attack the civilian population because
Yeah,
that encourages them.
I don't buy that. The enemies that we're cultivating at the moment,
Our
they
enemies don't give a fuck about us. They care about the government. If they took out Washington D.C., that's the point of when you're looking at is you don't want the civilian population behind the government. You want the civilian population against the government because then
Well,
that stops them from doing whatever they're doing.
look at the American War of Independence, which Shadow has inadvertently gotten me into, which is really
Yeah.
annoying because I could do without that expense. But like there wasn't really popular support for rebellion against the British until the British overcorrected and started doing atrocities on the civilian population. Then that made people shift in opinion pretty hard, right? Like same as in the Confederacy with the South. It's like, how do you really defend an institution like slavery? Well, you throw in some like civilian atrocities, like
I mean, a perfect example is Vietnam. The Vietnamese did not attack the United States. In essence, the population really didn't support it, and because they didn't support it, like the Tet Offensive is a military disaster for North Vietnam. It is a complete military disaster. It destroyed their indigenous rebellion in many cases. So and then it was a disaster for them. In fact, Gayap lost his job over it, if I remember correctly.
you want to
Uh,
what I imagine Russia or China would prefer would be like the United States population having a really favorable view of them and not having any problem with Russian and Chinese oligarchs buying up US assets. They'd want to. It's much easier to control like the opinion of a bunch of people than it is to like kill each individual one. And even then, it's like you've got this giant industrial base going to waste. Then like you
well,
want those people going to work with a red song in their heart.
I'm going to bring this up because you're acting like it. They don't really care about us because they're like, if it collapses, that works a lot better for them. A perfect example is look at the what's been going on with Israel and the support for Israel.
Yeah,
You know,
I can't. Oh.
well, no, I mean, I'm not saying your personal feeling, but I'm saying if you look at what happened with Israel, the
That's
support for
almost too
Israel.
contentious. That's
No,
almost
no.
too contentious a topic even for this channel.
Well, I don't mean to be contentious, but we're just being honest about this. The public support for Israel has dropped precipitously in the last 5 years with the Epstein
Yeah.
files, this Iranian war, and then the way that they have been bombing Gaza. Now, am I disagreeing for some of those things? It doesn't matter. The point being is that you're playing an information war and you're playing a propaganda war. And if once you lose the message, then people abandon this. And the same thing happened with Vietnam, and the same thing was starting to happen with Korea, and which we're all forgetting about it is why in the world do we keep on going these wars? The same thing happened in Afghanistan and Iraq. Why are we fighting these? No one could really give a good reason for it because they weren't a threat to the United States. Iran's not a threat to the United States.
Well, there is no good reason. It's an evil reason.
I understand that, but my point being is before the public supported this in overwhelming numbers, now they do not. And because of that, that's where your victories are coming from. You don't want to destroy the population. If one of those countries attacks the United States directly and says that they do that, then the population swings drastically against them. But if you're sympathetic or you're non-threatening for the most part, then it doesn't work that way. And that's what you want to do. The same thing was happening.
And maybe in the past, I think going forward, I think a lot of the people out there are looking at things completely differently.
The people in power in the United States are. The people in Russia and China are not, because they understand this. That's why people do propaganda wars. That's why they keep talking about foreign interference. It's
going. I think it's entirely going to be a racial extermination kind of thing.
Why? They don't have to.
Because I think that's the way it's heading. I think we're at that point where they've decided, independently or whatever, the world needs, just one kind of human, and that's it.
The Chinese don't have to do that at all. There's an old saying: don't interrupt your enemy while he's making a mistake. The Chinese don't have to do anything. The Chinese have to do nothing. The Russians have to do nothing. The United States is the one that put itself in the current situation it's in through complete idiocy of its own.
Oh, I know.
Why in the world? Sure. Russia and Ukraine. Well, that's a border war. I mean, to be fair, that's that it's a border war when you look at it. It is.
Back to the American War of Independence. Like I think God protects idiots and drunks. I know this from personal experience because like some of the accounts of the first resistance from the American side, I'm like, oh my God, how did you even pull it off? Like it took a while to get a proper organized professional army. I read one account where they're heating shot to fire at British ships. They're heating it up.
Yeah.
And they're like, they roll it into the cannon and they're like, oh, the shot is like not the right gauge for the cannon. And looking around, they're like, all the shot we have is for a completely different gauge of cannon. So they like send someone across town to like a foundry to like grab some, quick tools. It's like, I don't know how you did it. You did it by the seat of your pants. Trust me.
Well, I mean, when you start looking at this,
American ingenuity, bro.
At the end of the day, you have to get your public support, which is the old Weisenberg principles, which no one talks about for like Lebanon. After that, it was you have to have public support. You should have a clear mission. You should have. There were 4 things. I can't remember what the 4th one is, but the last one is you have to have a clear exit strategy. And in the 90s, we kind of abandoned that. It's like
exit strategy.
Well, no, but I'm saying, but that was the Weinberger principles because the Lebanon, when they hit the Marine barracks. I don't know if you realize this. The Marines were not even allowed to have bullets in their guns because they were afraid that they.
Oh yeah.
Well, I had a
that's been a thing for a while.
Yeah, but it depended on where you were. It's like I was listening to, and it depends on who's in power, because after the Iranian Revolution, when they captured all of those students in 1980, I was talking to some embassy guards when I was in Frankfurt, and they said after that the ambassador has zero authority to determine on what the Marines have. The Marines are given an order, and the ambassador cannot counteract that order. The order is to protect this at all cost, and the ambassador has zero say in that. That's what happened in the early 90s. That has changed by my understanding, but there was a reason that certain things were put into place, and that was one of them, which I thought was interesting. Is you control the embassy, but the Marines are told to protect this at all costs and to ignore the ambassador if he says don't do this.
Diplomatic staff should listen to security advisors on security matters, and security staff should listen to diplomatic staff on diplomatic issues, right? Like that's
well. This has to do with this was an order brought down after the after the embassy stuff was to that they were told specifically this is U.S. soil, which all embassies are. They're the soil of their own country. And has China attacked the United States physically? No. Has the United States attacked China in the last 30 years? Yes, it has. Which people forget about.
I think we and the Chinese are like so integrated economically that we can only really just nip at each other's heels. Like, you know what I mean?
Well, I'm gonna bring this up. Is China has its own issues? Is if you just wait long enough, China's going the way of South Korea, which is complete and total demographic collapse.
The whole world is having a demographic implosion because people like.
Have you seen Have you seen what they've been building though lately?
Which part?
Their missile centers.
Yes, they have no problems with it. Here's a real problem that you have. But they don't have to do anything. There is something called Fortress America, and there is something called nuclear weapons. At this point, if they just ignore us, we're going to have our own problems with it. You don't have to. The reason that why in the world everyone wants to pick fights when you're like your enemy can destroy itself. It's just like Russia. You can kind of ignore Russia in certain cases, but when you start antagonizing them, then you're going to watch. And this happens everywhere. Once you attack a group, and this includes in Iran, as soon as we did the attacks in Iran, all the people protesting stopped protesting the government and now started saying, hey, we have an external enemy. It's the same thing like whenever you talk to police officers about domestic abuse. Whenever they have domestic assaults, they hate going to those because what happens as soon as the police come in? The couple stops fighting with each other, and now they're going to fight with the police.
Yep.
And that's what we usually do.
It's like, yeah, it's...
I've seen it too many times. It's women are crazy.
Well, I'm saying, but the men do the same thing too. Sometimes, it's this.
But the men never call the cops for domestic abuse.
Well, what I thought was funny. At least I was talking to someone in Texas.
It depends on how far it's going. Like a crossed word is probably not worth calling the police over. But like if someone knocks your eye out of its socket, then yeah, maybe the police should come.
Well, this is what I found out. At least in some jurisdictions, if you call the police for domestic abuse, someone's going to jail, and they don't care which one. And so whichever one is belligerent,
and it's always the dude.
It is not. No, it is not. No, because this is what happened.
One in 100 does not qualify in my book.
No. This is what happened. So they came over, and the guy had this happen enough times. So he got out. He went outside, and he was smoking. His wife starts yelling and screaming. The police come in. He's like, hey, he just like waves to the police. He's ignoring her. She keeps screaming and yelling. And they're like, well, someone's going to jail. And they put her in cuffs and took her to jail because she was the belligerent one when they arrived.
Right. I mean, that would be pretty rare. I mean, like, to be honest with you, like in periods where my health wasn't doing so well and, like things were a bit tense at home because of it, we had a few fights where like the neighbor was like, oh, I don't know what's going on there. And definitely like when I spoke to the police, they wanted to make 100% sure that I wasn't throwing hands, right? And they were pretty clear about the fact that they would just cut me off, like if there was even a sense of that happening, right?
I'm not saying they aren't, but I'm saying, but if they come in and they don't see any injuries on either party, they will take the one that's belligerent, which oddly enough tends to be the woman.
Maybe where you live, but that's literally like it's happened so infrequently as to be insignificant.
Yeah, I mean, it's often the context that's belligerent, right? Like he's lost his job, she's unwell. You know, like it's usually it's not one thing.
Well, no,
It's
no. What I'm
usually
saying
like
is when the
20
police
things.
roll up, they're looking at the one screaming and yelling and doing all
Yeah,
that.
of course,
Yeah.
of
And
course.
so
But I mean, you know, like
that's what I'm referring to. And you're right.
You know,
If all of a sudden
anecdotes don't really cut it with stuff like this. You just got to look
Yeah.
at like, you know, what happens. You know,
Yeah. Well,
statistically.
I'm just saying that in the jurisdiction I was in, that's what they did is they would take
Mhm.
one of the two people to jail, and
That was probably the right call. Anyway,
Yeah.
in her case, like she sounded like she needed to just kind of have some time out. You know.
So, well, but yeah, you know, I've talked to a couple of police officers. That's what you usually see is like. But you're right. If you also look at wounds, and men are more likely to cause wounds than women for the same hit.
Yep.
Then you're going to go to jail for that. And I had a boss that,
Yeah.
it's. I'm not saying that things aren't, but I'm just saying when they roll up and they're like, okay, what's going on? And she's the one screaming, and the guy's sitting there smoking a cigarette on the curb. They're going to be like, I think
Holy
that's
shit!
what?
Oh,
What did you do?
like I felt like I broke my wrist doing the simplest of fucking tasks. I'm out of shape, man.
But yeah,
I just
Sometimes I
twisted
use,
it.
sometimes I use compression gloves when I do modeling stuff, and that helps a lot. Actually,
I just scraping a little bit of plastic off a thing with an X-Acto knife, and I just must have just twisted it wrong. But it's like, holy crap!
yeah.
I never felt that pain in that exact spot before.
Ooh. Well, you know what the problem now is? Now you've done it. You're going to keep doing it.
Oh, I'm almost done.
No. I mean, for the pain.
Yeah.
Now that's been done once, it always seems to happen again.
yeah, it took me a while to realize that a lot of the things that I feel are not me actually dying. I'm just middle aged now.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay, right.
Yeah,
I
welcome to the
wake
club,
up and
man.
be like, oh my god, this is it. You know, this is the thing that's going to finish me off. And then I'm like, realize like a little later, I'm like, no, you're just 41 now. Just deal with it. Eat a salad.
You youngster, you baby.
I still feel like a kid. Like I sometimes worry, like, you know, am I not maturing fast enough? Because like, you know, in my mind,
I hate to break it to you, but I think you're done. Like most of us, you know, I'm pretty sure we stop at about 24, 21, 24. We're done. Maybe even
I don't
17,
know.
you know, for some of us.
I don't know. It depends on what happens in your life, right? Like if you've got big things happening in your, it's like with your situation growing up, like you had to be more grown up, like earlier, right?
Yeah, but I
Okay,
stopped like at 14. I was done.
I'm going to
Yeah,
bring
yeah,
this
yeah.
up, which is a little different. I looked at all of these people who were looking around, and I looked at them and I said, and they're like, oh, I can't play video games once I've turned 23 because I have to become an adult. And I went, I don't want to emulate you. And then I looked at the guys who were like 75, who still were happy in life, who had fought like in multiple wars. I met a World War II veteran on the thing, and he shrugged stuff off, and he seemed to be so happy. And you know why? Because he didn't lose that youthful enjoyment of life. And I said, okay.
Yeah, well, I saw that meme, and it was like a shot from the 50s, some very like 50s Americana art of a family having a barbecue. And the woman's like, I don't have to go to work. And the man's like, I have a stable house on one salary. And the kid's like, I have a loving family. And the old guy's like, I killed 50 men.
Yes. Well, no, but I mean,
Fitty man.
but I was just laughing at the whole thing, which is because I had a friend of mine that literally told me that when I was in high school. I'm sorry, no, we were in college, and he was like 20, and I was 30.
If he killed 50 men at that age, he's a serial killer.
Actually,
Maybe it's just a really bad cook.
There you go. Let's hope that's what it was.
well, that's what I have
Like,
to laugh.
dude, let's order in when we play at your house.
Or he was a certain kind of bus driver.
Oh, oh, I remember doing those songs. You know.
Yeah, you sing the wheels on the bus one more time. I'm driving this off.
Well,
I'm
no,
driving
no,
this
no,
off
no,
a
no,
cliff.
no. We used to sing it. It was like, you know, it was he drinks and he cusses and he wrecks all the buses. That was anyway. But yeah, I don't understand this whole idea of when people are like, well, you have to grow up. I said, grow up into what? Into a miserable human being that hides off and drinks his woes away? Or I can go over and I can do
I'm about
painting.
that far. I'm about that far from
I
that.
wish I could be more of a drinker. Like they seem to be having a good time. I just like kind of lose enthusiasm after like one and a half.
I could seriously see it getting to the point where I do the full on, Nicolas Cage leaving Las Vegas. Just just
Oh,
take I think just take all the cash I've got and just freaking go somewhere and just
oh man.
hopefully that won't be for a long time.
He's living his best life. He was spotted out here a while back. He was doing something with his something with filming and like in Western Australia, and he was like buying his lunch at the supermarket, very frugal, and there with his Japanese wife, who's quite an attractive lady. I think Nick Cage is like the only Hollywood person I can think of who looks like he's actually enjoying himself.
I don't know, Keanu
Well,
Reeves.
hey,
I guess.
here's the thing. There's so many of them that I never want to watch enjoy themselves because I know what they would be doing to be enjoying themselves, and I want no part of that.
I'm going to bring this up. Nicolas Cage has to be frugal because the IRS tells him that he owes like $30 million.
Well, no. Let's be fair. I mean, if I know that, like anytime I travel, like if I go to conventions or other things, I would always go to the grocery store, even if that meant like I was living at this one hotel for a while, and I had all the money I needed for whatever I could eat fast food 3 nights or 3 days 3 meals a day every day for the rest of that year, but I would
Yeah.
still just go to the grocery store, buy a loaf of bread, some sandwich meat, and like mustard, and that was it. Just
Well,
Yeah,
and
I had
just
that
so,
on
three
well,
same meal, 3 meals a day. Make it cheap, make it easy, and
well
a
for
bag of
me,
chips or something.
it has nothing to do with the cost. It has that I am tired and I don't want to keep going out to eat. It's like, look, I have to
Okay.
waste an hour and a half. I would just rather go over and say, okay, let me go
I mean,
buy.
how hard is it to make a sandwich, right?
Well, exactly.
Meat, maybe
Well,
cheese if you're so inclined, and your favorite condiment, and you don't even have to,
well, especially if I've been out all
you don't
day
even need a
doing this
knife.
stuff. I mean, if I've been out all day doing this stuff, yeah, I'm tired. I don't want to go out anymore that rest of that day. I've been walking up and down dams for the last 6 hours in,
Mhm.
90-degree heat. I'm like, okay, I'm done. I want to come home.
When I
I want
used
to lay
to,
in bed, and and that's
when I used to travel for work, if I went with a colleague, they'd always be like, "Why do you go to the supermarket and buy like fruit and a roll and like have that for dinner when you can claim everything on expenses?" I'm like, because they like me because I cost nothing, and I also don't have to wait weeks to get hundreds of dollars back, and I don't want to eat like restaurant food or takeout every single night. Like it
Yeah,
sounds
yeah.
like I'll die.
Having worked a little bit in the restaurant industry, um, sometimes those refrigerators and storage areas are disgusting. You do not want to eat at at every restaurant you can. You know what I mean? You need to like mix it up, and
I found that I'm okay eating out probably about 4 days, but after
That's
about
what she
that,
said.
is I'm done, and I'm like, okay, I
but
want to stay. Well, I like they asked me like where I wanted to go eat. I said I've had enough of barbecue and Mexican food. Uh, you know,
right.
and don't get me wrong, the barbecue was really good, but it was like I don't want to have to go outside. I have,
What
and it's funny
what
because I will
contributes?
drive 6 hours in a day and not even blink for work. But as soon as I come home, they're like, "Oh, HEB's 2 miles away. That's too far," and I refuse to leave the house. It's,
It comes back. It comes back to one thing. Like I keep craving the one thing, but I haven't found a good place that's like local and that's like good fish and chips. You know,
Oh, dude. Well, what does fish and chips run you for two pieces
for
of fish
like
and chips?
for a fancy one, it could be like with like drinks and like sauce and everything. It could be like as much as $20 for a good one, for a really good one.
No,
Or you could go half. You could go
that's like
half that out the sticks. You know, like
that's start for us. Starting is $20 if you're
mhm,
lucky.
mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not nothing. I
It's
mean,
right near the water.
like the fast
You're
food
right on the
equivalent.
beach. Like California's right on the beach. Surely seafood should be a bit cheaper. Like
Well,
yeah, you know.
I'm like 200 to 300 miles away from the nearest beach.
Yeah, yeah. But still, like
You
you
would
know.
think, but no.
I mean,
And
I haven't had a great one in a long time. Like a really nice.
I haven't even
You know.
had it. I haven't had fish and chips. Um, in about almost 20 years. Let's say 15. And the last time we went, we tried to trick Jackie into thinking it was chicken,
Hmm.
and he ate it. You know, he was just a little kid. You know, he ate. It's like, this
Yeah.
doesn't taste like chicken. Oh well, sorry. So we're having the crunchies are
Yeah.
good. You know, the batter was good.
Mm.
And he ate, you know, like one piece. He was like, yeah, you know, and we haven't been
Yeah.
back because last
I
time
Good
we
fish and chips.
Well, see, when you say fish and chips, what type of fish are you referring to? Because I've had plenty
cod.
of
Well,
catfish.
here it's usually like it's either cod or flake, which is shark meat, right?
Yeah, I thought you
Usually,
weren't
but
allowed to get shark fin
you
anymore.
can go higher than that and get like brim or like a fancy fish, like a local one like barramundi, even like you know. So yeah, like it just depends like how fancy you want to go because you know there's a lot of like hip hipster kind of like fish and chip places about the place with like naked light bulbs and people wearing stripy sailor shirts and you know
Are you sure? You're not
can I
going to the
spray you
gay,
with a
gay
tartare
section of
cologne?
town?
Like you know,
Mhm.
I think you go to the gay section of town for that. You know, sorry,
yeah,
with
yeah,
the tight shirts. No, it's
yeah.
I, I I don't really like
Well, I
fish
live
that
in Sydney,
much
so
at
I
all.
live in Sydney, so the gay section is everywhere.
I mean, most of the
The
stuff I
whole.
see is usually catfish that's breaded and fried, but I do
Mm-hmm.
not like. Uh, I'm not a big fan of fish. My mother gets migraines if she eats seafood, so she can't have it, and so we just like why.
Mm-hmm.
And then the food that I did like, which was triggerfish. Triggerfish tastes very much like chicken, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, well, then why don't I just have chicken instead?
Well, I
Um,
didn't like it when I was a kid, but as I got older, I started to appreciate it more. You know, when your palate gets a little bit more like beyond
Yeah.
peanut butter. Yeah.
see, the problem is I didn't grow up with peanut butter as my main palate. I grew up with like real good home cooking, and so then I went over like,
Yeah.
this is terrible. Like I didn't have
Did you
meatloaf
grow
till I
up?
was 14 because my father had
Did you
banned it
get?
from the house.
Did you
And
get exposed to like good Greek food growing up as well?
oh
Like,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Well,
I had good
that's.
Greek
I
food.
mean,
My mother used to do.
that's the
Well,
stuff,
my mother
man.
would do something different every day, so we would go through that, and
Mm-hmm.
that's why I have to laugh sometimes because I did not grow up on vegetables at all. If it wasn't potatoes, it just didn't get
Mm-hmm.
eaten as far as vegetable is concerned. Uh, so, and
Well, I'd say my diet's probably about 50% vegetarian, but I do eat meat a few times a week. But yeah,
so
like a good half the meals I eat are vegetarian.
I'll see
That's
a good 10% of my food might be vegetarian. The rest is
I
almost
don't
all.
even think
by
it's that
accident.
much for me.
By accident, yeah, yeah.
Well, no, I mean I eat
I mean,
mostly
tomato
meat.
ketchup counts, right?
Yeah, it does.
I mean,
Well,
I used to be the full on like I didn't eat any meat for like
yeah.
years, but after I broke my back, I was like, I'm gonna start eating it again, and you know, I think it has helped actually. So
I'm
yeah.
just no, I'm just saying, but I didn't grow up with that, so it was like, what do you mean I have to eat all this stuff? Why can't I just eat beef and chicken for the rest of my life? And people are like, what? And I'm like, well, it's the same reason that like homemade breads. What you get at the store is not homemade, and I'm just like, I
It's
like
not even bread;
artisan.
it's cake.
Yeah, well, I mean, I like good old
That doesn't
artisan
stop me
bread.
none.
Yeah, I know.
You're making
Well,
me hungry now. Now we're on to that part of the show that thanks me.
Then we started. Hey, what's up, Mike? Uh,
Now the geopolitics.
glad to see you back in the state.
Yeah. Those are just the things that I went through. And I love to watch cooking shows and things for the whole thing.
By the way, Shadow, my graveyard arrived.
Good.
Nice. I need to see some pictures of that.
Yeah. Well, I got to put it together yet, but it's just all like cardboard gravestones, little mausoleum and stuff. Kind of a fun little thing for undead to fight over. And I got this. I'm like, it might be stretching it to use it for like non-fantasy games, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Wait a minute. You can use that for all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, I think so.
It's got kind of a Swiss Family Robinson / Tarzan and Jane sort of look to it.
Well, it looks like a lot of the forts that were from the 1620s to the 1800s in the U.S.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I thought it looked a little bit like French Indian War as well as like medieval. So I was like, yeah, I'll grab that. It was like, I don't know, $20.
I'm telling you, you get some palm trees, you get some little plastic gorillas, a caveman and a cave woman, and you get yourself, an Edgar Rice Burroughs freaking skirmish game.
Well, I love that kind of pulp adventure, and I really regret the end of a particular company called Irregular Miniatures, but the guy who founded it is like 98 now.
Oh, okay.
And the minis were cheap and cheerful. Like they were very much of the kind of hand sculpted, hand casted variety. But he did every scale from 2 mil up to 54 mil, and he had a series of games called Tusk, and lots of mammoth hunting, like where the rules had been adopted for mammoth hunting or dinosaur hunting. Set in the Victorian age, but also they kind of like adapted it for sci-fi a little bit as well. And they did all kinds of interesting little packs of minis. Maybe they'll bring them back. I know a younger guy has taken over casting Irregular Miniatures. Maybe they will bring some of that back.
That'd be good.
If you look into a game called Tusk, I actually sent a Tusk pack to you and Jack that was like World War I guys fighting over diamonds. There were some dinosaurs in there.
Okay, I know which ones you're talking about.
That was a Tusk pack. Yeah. Dinosaurs a little bit undersized from what I remember. But,
yeah.
The esoteric order of games, I guess. Or is that a different one?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so okay.
He's a New Zealand channel, right? And he's an Aussie guy in New Zealand, but he does a lot of board games, war games, that kind of thing.
So apparently, is it Gale Force 9 that's producing it? I don't know. Okay, so it's Wessex Games for Drive-Thru RPG if you just want the rules.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, the mammoth hunting game from, let's see, what does it say? From 12,000 BC to 1914 AD.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Yeah. All right.
And it's solo game as well as 1 or 2 players. So, all right. Yeah, I mean, that just sounds like fun. Let's see, how much would it cost if I wanted to buy it? $4. For 14 pages. For 14 pages. So
it's kind of spendy, man. I don't know.
Well, so Shadow, have you given much more thought to that airship game that you were working on?
I couldn't do anything until my bank card arrived because I lost mine. Mm-hmm. It came today, and tomorrow I can start shopping.
Nice.
And then I'm going to go on to Etsy and see if I can find any new ships. And I'm also going to go to the website or whatever, the old Kickstarter, and see if I can track down where to find the rules for it, because I haven't seen it anywhere. I've got searches on eBay and Etsy and nothing. I think
you could use the Aeronef rules that I sent you, but you probably have to adapt them a little bit,
Yeah, that's not hard. It's so
My
weird. I was thinking about this the other day. It's like I think a lot of us got real lazy over the years when it came to like role playing and maybe even miniature gaming as well. Back in say 85, the spirit of make your own everything, and I do mean everything, whether it be the miniatures, the rules, the terrain, the everything. We just did it. We couldn't go to the store, every day. We couldn't just buy whatever we wanted whenever we wanted. A couple of friends of mine who were also dungeon masters were, constantly picking my brain for, creating new this or new character classes, new monsters, new treasure, and stuff like that, or new terrain or new troop types for miniature war games, or everything. And then we all got like money and just like, I'll just let somebody else do it.
Oh, totally. I'm so guilty of that. I'm so
Come on,
guilty of like
Travis.
looking for bespoke everything, like because like with this hobby I don't want to think too much. I just like being able to switch off and noodle around with the brush. My my opponent for Dark Ages Wargaming that I've kind of been getting to know, a guy who lives across town from me. He just sent me a photo of some stuff he's working on. I'm like, oh my god, this guy's such an artist. Like, my painting is no. I'm like, yeah, that's pretty good. You bastard.
I don't understand. You know what? I am so different than the rest of you guys, probably because I'm a gamer first, and then I'm like, hey, if you're gonna
Oh,
do
I
that,
just, I'd
I'll
love to, I'd love to like have the pretense of being an artist, but it
I,
is actually work to get there, right?
I
It's
know,
work.
but my whole point is like, oh, that's cool. If you can do all the painting, hey, let's play with these. It's the
Hmm.
same thing of, I just don't want showpieces. I'm like, I want something to be put on the board and like so we can.
Me either. But like when I see his stuff, I'm like, how can you like everything? It looks like I was saying it to Shadow the other day. He sends me a photo of what he's working on, and it looks like the models are made out of like edible icing. Like the highlights are so well blended. The
Yeah,
models look like they're made out of candy. You know?
Maybe
well,
they are.
yeah. Well, you know what is actually that would be kind of cool. I'd be all right with that. It's like as the soldiers die, you get to eat them. I like. You know what? That
Yeah,
actually
they
sounds like a
should do
pretty good
that.
game.
They should
I'm
do
still
that. I
waiting
mean,
for that
man,
Kickstarter.
oh,
I
it's
sent
never
some
coming,
random.
man. It's never coming. It's never. That's too like they went over their head. Like as soon as you start trying to package food like that, you're gonna run into all kinds of crazy logistical problems.
Well, I mean,
It was it was a Kickstarter for those of you who don't know. That was using Reaper molds and gummy candy inside the molds. So the miniatures were like green slime, dragon, soldier, orc, whatever, were made out of gummy material. And then there were gummy dice, gummy potion bottles. So when you're role playing at the table with the kids, if they kill a monster, they get to eat the monster. If they need to take a potion, they've got X number of potions, candy potions in
there's
their
nothing.
cup or whatever.
There's nothing I love more than high fructose corn syrup that's been handled by several people.
I'm just thinking, the gummies, the
Nitro
gummies don't make
gloves
sense
and
to me.
a factory setting. Who I doubt that many people actually touch gummy bears
No,
before
no, no,
you
no, no,
get
no,
there.
no, no, no. He's talking to all the other people that are going out. It's
Oh
not the
yeah,
yeah, but I'm referring to to me for gummies that doesn't make as much sense. I thought that would make more sense to do it out of like hard candy like you'd use for lollipops or do it out of chocolate. Except I know chocolate can melt.
chocolate would melt.
Mhm.
I think gummy because it won't break. Like
Yeah,
when you split the mold apart, it's not going to break. It's just going to flex.
yeah. But what you can do is you can just leave in the plastic for the molds, and then when they get the
See,
chocolate or whatever else, and then you're just like, okay, there you go. That's what I'm
I
referring
I
to.
haven't I have an immaculately healthy diet like most of the time, but when it comes to sugar, like I'm a disgusting person. Like I'm really gluttonous, right? And I wouldn't stop there. I'd be like, I want a chocolate tank. I want a tank with soft center. Like I want a chocolate
Yeah,
castle. You see me
yeah,
like lying on the floor,
it's
lying
funny
on the
you
floor
said that.
crying.
The other day, my wife, she called me a dragon or some shit like that, right? I'm like,
Mhm.
what? And apparently in Spanish that means like glutton. And
Oh, really?
Right.
I'm like, okay, I don't know if I'm upset or not. I'm kind of
You're
cool with
like,
that because you know,
I'm a glutton for punishment because I'm still listening to this.
right. Yeah, jokes like that are completely lost on her. Um,
It's I'm just
I
waiting for
wanted to
just
write
waiting.
this. She tried to explain to me uh, that the weeds were growing up over the sprinklers, and she said something like the ground is eating up the thing. And I'm like, what? The ground is what? The ground is eating up the where the water comes out.
And Shadow was like, the day of purification is here.
Just like
I know. I
if she
just
had not been pointing at the sprinklers, I would have never figured it out. Never.
But
well,
you
wait,
know,
wait, wait.
your little cultural like bon mots with each other, that's like gonna form the basis of, the
So
charming sitcom that Jackie pens, and makes you
so
all
so
rich.
so Shadow.
Mhm.
That's much better than my father when he's like that thingy, like what thing? You know that thing? What thing?
No,
That
the
thing
other
over
It's
thing.
just
there. That's
even
over with
more.
this thing, and you're just like,
More
continue.
lefter.
Yeah. Well, no, he
It's
didn't even say like left, right. You know that thing that we saw a few weeks ago. Like what thing a few
you
weeks
know,
ago?
I
Could you give
mean,
me like context or something?
it's even more funny when you realize that in this context, Shadow is actually Lucille Ball.
Oh yes, I know. Well. You know what? That's
Hey,
the
you know
problem
what's
is.
funny? You know what's the funniest thing about what you just said? Because I
What?
can't argue because she has a Ricky Ricardo laugh sometimes.
Uh,
She does this
That's great.
exaggerated laugh, and I'm like, and she doesn't. You know, she barely knows who that is. You know
If
what I
I
mean?
was a if I was a paid academic and like I could just write various papers, I'd love to do an essay on like why Gomez Adams is a model father and husband. Like
yeah.
I've been watching quite a bit in the afternoon, like it comes on TV, they've been repeating it, and I'm like, he's such a great guy. He loves his wife. Nothing ever gets him down except good weather.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes. I almost married a Morticia Adams, uh, but sadly,
Gomez
that didn't
came
work
in
out.
and stole her from you.
No.
Yeah.
No, she decided she was going to play for the other team.
Hmm.
Oh, okay.
That's
The
Well,
what she
the
told you.
'80s,
That's what
it's
she
the
told you.
'80s. I heard that
No.
more times than I can count. So it got kind of old.
Well, no. I
Yeah.
have to laugh. I have to laugh at that because I remember going out with a lady and she said, "Yeah, I was living with a woman for 7 years and then just realized I'm not gay." So she said, "I'm going back to men again." Or the
That's
number
a
of
very that's a very like female experience though. Like, I was
Yeah,
doing this thing for a long time and then I just kind of snapped out of it. It's like,
yeah.
okay,
yeah, you can't if
all
you're a
right.
guy. I mean, how does that work? You know, you never hear about guys like not.
It feels like a bigger leap for some reason. I don't know whether that's fair or unfair, but like it feels like
Well,
it's a
life's
bigger
not fair, so
a
no,
bigger
but
leap.
but
Yeah.
I know at least one person where that actually did sort of supposedly happen. I suspect they were still, getting shit on the side. Pardon the pun,
Well,
but
variety is the life of spies.
I'm like, it's such a weird thing because like if you're a guy and you date a girl and you find out that was in her past, like no fucking problem. Don't even bat an eye, right? Nothing. Not even a freaking, not even a glimmer of a. Oh, what am I getting
Depends.
myself into? It's more like, what am
Depends
I
on
getting
whether
myself
she beat
into?
me. It depends on whether she beat me over the head with a club and dragged me back to the cave or not. Like,
Right, but if you're a woman, right, and you meet this guy and you get serious, and then you find out that he used to be with other. dudes, doesn't that pretty much just end it right then and there?
I don't
No,
know. I'm not a woman.
I don't think so because I keep running into this with you. Like, I think you're part of like a different generation with like a different aesthetic and a different mindset. I think girls like kind of like a guy who's a little bit
Fruity?
metro or like fruity, not necessarily like dedicated. Like,
French. He's saying that they like men that are French. Is what he's
I just, it's like, it's funny because if you see a guy like who works out a lot and he posts his physique online, it's like other guys that are going to compliment him. But like if a guy is a bit more kind of like windswept and interesting and artistic, that seems to be what women go for in the main. I mean, at least the kind of women I know.
Windswept and interesting. I've never heard
Windswept
that.
and interesting,
What the hell does that even mean?
Who knows?
Windswept. You're a
Who
sailor?
knows? Whatever it
You just
whatever it
blew
is.
in
Whatever it
with your
is, I don't
glass.
got it.
No, it's like, I mean, because not to get too graphic, but there's a whole lot of complications that I would perceive or imagine that would come along with that kind of baggage. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know.
Maybe.
The problem is that if a man sleeps around with other men and now has gone back to women, is that now she's jealous of everyone because they could take her away, rather than just other women.
When you think about the kind of like, when you juxtapose this conversation with like RPG edition wars, like it's dangerous territory because like you guys can't even agree on what edition of D&D. So like, you get into stuff like that. That's like, Butlerian jihad kind of time.
Pardon the pun.
Well, it's Baron
Larry
Harkonnen level
Jihad.
is what he's saying. It's Baron Harkonnen level because, he liked being in the body of Arya so he could have the men.
I mean, I don't care what people do as long as I don't have to clean up afterwards.
Good point.
You know what? Though? I remember going out. I was at Dell and I was going through, and I had a gay friend, and he got more women's numbers than anyone else because he could dance.
Yeah.
And no. This was the funny part. He would go over and says, "Oh, these women keep giving me their numbers," and he would throw them out at the end of the night. In the meantime, those of us who were straight couldn't like get a single woman's number. Like, what the hell?
That's why you've got to keep one gay friend on retainer, like the bard of the party, if you will.
On
To kind
retainer.
of charm.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, what kind of? I mean,
just keep him in. I don't know. Keep him in hair curlers and disco records or whatever, rollerblades, whatever it is those people enjoy.
James, you're on a rare roll tonight. You are like really going for this. You know what? You must be hungry and tired.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. I still can't bring myself to eat on stream. I'm like, not going to do that to people.
Well, Mike, I hope you're driving
Even-
safely, Mike, and that you don't crash into anything laughing at us. But I am going to remind you that you and or Jen or both of you, your craft project, James, same thing. Your craft projects are due tomorrow by midnight. In order
What
to
am I
try to
supposed to be
win,
crafting?
in order to try to win.
Oh, I
this
really
bad
wanted
boy,
that book too. Yeah, I really wanted that. Damn,
Well, you
what am I
gotta
supposed to build?
you just build anything, craft something.
Oh, right. Well,
Craft something for your tabletop. Get some coconut shells, walnut shells,
You
some
know what be-
styrofoam.
what'd
care.
be kind of fun would be to like, how you paint Easter eggs? Have you
Yeah,
ever
sure.
done that?
Oh, I
Where
love
you
to.
like you put a pin through the egg and blow the contents
okay,
out?
yeah.
It would be fun to kind of see if you could paint a fantasy version of that or a sci-fi version of that. Paint like a character onto the eggshell.
The only time I've ever done what you said with the eggshell was to try to make ninja smoke grenades.
Of course.
And I do know the recipe. I do know a couple of recipes how to do it.
Like-
Unfortunately, the Strike Anywhere matches are really hard to find now, and
If
when you
you're-
can find them, they're expensive.
If you're playing along at home, this is what happens to. If you're playing along at home, this is what happens to junior delinquents when they get old. They turn into shadows. It's become a repository of like Oh, stink bombs? No problem. I'll just go wrestle some up.
I do have some. I do have some. They're the cool kind too. The ones that are in the little glass vials that you have to shatter on the ground. Um, I prefer. I found this one stink bomb that I dropped at a movie theater in the last 15 years. It was a silver package. It was kind of like those ice packs or the glow in the dark tubes where you got to crack the thing inside, and then it does this.
Mhm.
It was like this silver envelope, and you pop a little thing inside it, and it starts doing this jiffy pop thing, and it turns into this like silver pillow, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and you got to drop it and run. I dropped it in the theater and ran. Because it was just getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and eventually it will pop, and it won't look like anything, except like maybe a candy wrapper or something. And I couldn't find those anymore, so I had to get the 36 pack of the little glass vials. And if I go somewhere and I have even the slightest inkling that they're going to
No,
give
the
me shit
choice of the
service.
word. The choice of the words I had to. It's like this is when this is your local delinquent grown old. It's like he's ready.
Well, no. This is what you have to
Civil
remember.
disobedience, man.
No. You have to remember this much. He couldn't find the plastic anymore because that's banned in California, so he had to resort to glass because it's more environmentally friendly.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I remember
not
those
that-
little tiny firecrackers. Like, my God, I'd be like walking down the path in the park, and like some kid behind a bush would just fling one like right in front of me, just as I turn the corner. Whoa! Like every time.
Yeah, those
What the hell
those
is that?
those things will get you in jail. My dad, though, he started me down this path because he had I found in his one of his boxes, it was like it looked like a firecracker, right? But it had two pieces of string in a loop on either end. You put one end around the doorknob, and you put one end around part of the door lock mechanism. And when somebody opened the door, it was like one of those party poppers, and it would pull and pop and give somebody a freaking heart attack.
Oh my God.
I wish I could still find more of those things,
I
but
think if I did that
sadly,
to, I think if I did that to Ree, her hair would just go white. Like, like,
yeah. I mean, but that's going back. I mean, that's going back like 60
yeah.
plus years. I mean, maybe you could find them in China or Taiwan or something like that where they
Well,
make
there's a
fireworks
state.
like that.
We have our own kind of Tijuana. We have our own kind of Tijuana here. Like the nation's capital is like legal weed. Drugs are decriminalized. They make pornos there, and you can buy fireworks for some. I don't know why politicians want access to all of this stuff, but that in our nation's capital, all that stuff is
Because everybody
basically
wants
legal.
access to that kind of stuff.
It's
I mean,
like
if
everywhere else, all that stuff is very highly regulated. But in the nation's capital here, like they could have at it. You can fire off a firecracker while watching a porno and smoking crack, and then you can pass some laws.
you got the goddamn American dream over there.
Well, so I had a friend. He was a Swedish guy, and he said, "Oh, I'm a libertarian." I said, "Oh, what kind of libertarian?" He goes, "I want to fire 50 cal at my trans friend's wedding." And I'm like, "Okay, fair enough."
Yeah, I can get behind him on that.
Mm-hmm. What kind of cake do I want? Oh, don't do this to me. Don't do this to me. No, you don't. You're not craving cake. You think you are.
He wants an ice cream cake, chocolate rolled vanilla ice cream.
Why don't you have a lovely biscuit to stave off your See, you've done it to her now.
What did I do? I'm just sitting here minding my own business, talking about blowing stuff up and practical jokes, civil disobedience, and now she's got cravings for cake.
Can you blame her?
Disco
No,
records
cake is
with
delicious.
Do we have anything that we can make ourselves? Really? There's nothing.
No, because she hid it. The two boxes of Betty Crocker are hidden under her bed.
Because generally speaking, I mean, I made some muffins the other week and they're always a bit dry. So I like threw some raisins in there and it's like, yeah, great. Okay, that's nice.
Now I want
Well,
muffins.
I think we should workshop. I think we should workshop
Alright,
this
guys,
idea.
I'm gonna head
because
off.
You're
You have a
making
good
me
night.
fat.
I'm actually going to let James go argue with his lady. Oben, I will see you tomorrow. I am going to say goodnight. Thanks, everybody, for sticking with the
Happy
technical
pastry.
difficulties. And I will see you guys
Happy
all.
pastry, everybody.
Thank you. I will see everybody when I see you, probably Monday morning. Love you guys. Thanks for everything. Happy trails.